What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the True Gamer Podcast, the podcast hosted by two gamers for you, the true gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. Bro, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm sitting off to the side.
Yes, we've changed the setup once again.
Yes, it is actually a much more efficient, from a user perspective, much better. Like, you can come, two of us could enter the room at once.
Yeah. Previously, it was like, open the door, the desk is right in front of the door.
Yeah, one of you has to come in, shut the door, go around the desk, the other one comes in, shuts the door, yeah.
And do you know what that was all based on? I'd seen like a couple of streamers have like a sick wall background, and then their desk is like right in front of that thing. Yeah. But then there's no wall behind it. But they usually have like an entire room dedicated to this shit. Yeah. Granted, this is the entire room dedicated to it, but then it made other things just way worse.
This room is used because it's also part of your house.
Yes.
And it's like our content office and your man cave and the stream room. And what my question is, you've got all these awesome PlayStations, right? Best console ever made, obviously, Sony ponies. What I think you should do is just make them into a PlayStation mobile. It'd be very dangerous mobile, but just like
shit!
Kids here. So just spin it and like. You risk the PlayStations, you risk concussion.
Anyone who's underneath
the monitors. But no other streamer will have that. Guaranteed.
I'm just gonna say I can guarantee you there's no one else out there that would have a PlayStation mobile.
Right? I'm just saying. Anyway, let us know what you think.
This might not be the last final layout and whatnot. Right now things are still a bit in disarray. Yeah. So once things are cleaned up and tidied up, it might make things better. If we do decide to do this, we'll dress up. Obviously, Sheps' side is pretty much just the corner of the room right now. Yeah. It will be dressed up a lot better than that. But let us know what you think of the angle. Obviously, I haven't even seen the edit yet, what it will look like. Right. It might be I get into thing, I'll be like, ooh, we look really off. Like, something's off here. Why are we facing that way?
My big thing is the way we're facing. Because in terms of like backgrounds, we can do green screen. But that's a thing we can do.
Yeah.
High budget over here.
Yeah.
But we could do that. What absolute worst case would do like a green curtain and we're good, or blue curtain, whatever. But if this just looks like crap, there's no fixing that. So
I'm gonna jump ahead in front of these fuckers because I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna be like, "There's two dickheads in the video. Can you remove them?" Those two dickheads are here to stay. Okay,
right?
You can't get rid of those two dickheads.
I will say though, if you're looking at black screen, it's because the angle just looks horrendous. And we finally gave you what you want.
It's far too jarring. Cut it all. Cut it all.
That's it.
By the way, for the Conbros podcast, I deleted your video.
Did you?
So
on purpose or by accident?
By accident, and as soon as I did that, I was like, "Oh no, oh no!" So I just put you in the elf costume in the picture. And
Perfect.
That was good enough right there.
Perfect. It's funny you
say it's just me talking to an elf.
I mean, look, we've set a bar so low that if they get content, we're above the bar.
They're like, we got it, guys.
We're winning, guys. We can't upload this month.
God.
Anyway.
Oh, there you go.
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. This room project thing has been pretty cool for me. I like these kind of things.
Yeah.
There's some things that I've wanted to buy for the room that have sparked a new side of me. So like when I got the job that I do now,
like the
boiler.
The sex swing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I got the job that I did now, I became very much like hands-on with stuff, and I like to fix things and open things up and do things manually myself and build stuff and finish things. And now I've got to a point where I saw a lightsaber stand, and it was made of wood. It was on Etsy, and it was like £10. I was like, oh, this is perfect, right? And it was the only good one that I've seen is in America, and the shipping is like £45. I was like, fuck off.
No, that's just, first of all, absolutely not. Second of all, financially, even I can see this is a bad decision. Yeah.
Right, and it's just a piece of wood thing, and then it made me think, I was like, maybe I should buy some stuff to get into woodwork making.
Are you getting into woodworking?
I would like to. It seems like a cool thing, right? And I've always liked those routers and table saws and all that stuff.
You're going to lose a finger.
I might, yeah. I mean, I haven't lost anything yet, and I have been using power tools.
But you've been using your cock to push everything.
That's why it's gone shorter. I have burnt myself numerous times.
You do have a fair few blowtorch burns, but we've all done that. Like I'm sure the boys can all relate. You're soldering something, you put the blowtorch down.
Exactly.
The worst one I've ever done was you're soldering something, you put the blowtorch down, and you're too lazy to turn it off because you're going to need to solder the next joint, so you just leave it on.
Just tell me wasting gas.
Well, you're like, because you're like, I'm just going to go, and it'll be soldered. I'll move on to the next joint, and move it up, right? And like, it obviously catches you.
Yeah.
Have you done that?
I haven't done the fire catching. I've done it where I've turned it off and I've put it in the dumbest position, and then I reach over it and I'm fucking leaning on it or something like that. Fuck. And I've also dropped one shot, which is sulfuric acid on my trousers.
Nice.
And that was panic. I was like, oh god, this is going to burn my dick
alien
off.
Blood.
And because if you don't know, sulfuric acid is what they use in Breaking Bad. This is what they to like
part of it,
burn people do. And I'm like, oh shit, and I can feel it like seeping through my trousers. Immediately ran the shower and like doused my trousers with water, which is what you're supposed to do. And I was like,
also, it's kind of, the thing is, it's not like school grade sulfuric acid. This is like, oh, you put concrete in the wrong place and need to dissolve it all. Here, use this.
Yeah, this stuff comes with many warnings on it. Like, don't even sniff the fumes. Don't do it.
Oh,
don't
Jesus,
do it.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Anyway, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm good. Awful. Actually, yeah, terrible. Absolutely terrible. I have zero time. I finally made it to the first planet on Jedi Survivor, not even joking.
Hey, on Kobo, what was it?
I turned up and there's like a space tear, and then you land and there's like tar.
Oh, yeah.
I'm headed to a like giraffe turtle thing. I don't know. That's what I'm doing.
Giraffe turtle? Isn't it like an eagle type thing?
I don't know. It's to a point where...
First of all, giraffe and turtle very far apart, very different creatures.
Well, I'm thinking
and then on top of that,
slap a turtle shell on it and make it a bit lizardy. Giraffe turtle. First of all, freaking, do you know what's going to be funny is Runic Firebird's going to get in there and be like, actually, the etymology of that thing is it's much more closely related to a giraffe than a turtle. So shut up.
God damn it, Runic Firebird.
Yeah, get fricked. So it's taken me a while to find any time. However, I'm working from home for like all of August.
Hey.
Because of like we're having an office migration. So like lunch breaks and before and after work immediately, I might be able to get to maybe the second planet. It's my hope.
Who knows? Maybe by the end of next year.
That's a year and a half away. That sounds a bit tight, but I'll try and make it work. So yeah, other than genuinely having no time, I'll tell a lie. I have had some time to game, but I find myself, I'm like 10 minutes. It's just not going to give Jedi Survivor a fair shake to just do 10-minute stints. And I don't want to do that. It will ruin the immersion. I won't be able to get stuck into it, I want to sit down for a good hour or two at least. So if I've got like 10 to 20 minutes, I'll jump on a few games of Apex.
Especially what I found anyway, that I've been recording 3-hour sessions at a time.
Yeah. That's alright. Yeah.
However, most of that time is me dying to the bosses. Because it becomes a Souls game when you get to the bosses.
Yeah.
And
like Rick, whatever his name is.
Yeah, well, fuck it, that guy.
I saw that clip. By the way, probably a horrendous spoiler. That would have been hilarious. But equally, it was hilarious watching you figure it out.
Did you see like the cogs turning in my head when I killed him with one hit? I was like,
yeah.
Oh, this is a joke! Oh,
yeah.
God.
It was like loading shit. I'm like, did my PlayStation freeze? Has my YouTube stopped? Oh, he's got it now.
There we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of gaming though.
Yeah. That's a good thing to be speaking about.
On a gaming podcast. You know how I was deep into Final Fantasy 16?
Yeah.
Well, I decided I'm going to be an arsehole and go back to Destiny 2. I did a stream with a guy that I met on Kick called Nicholton PvP. He's a very cool guy, British YouTuber / streamer. We had some good fun. We played some. We was like, oh, have you got Destiny? Oh, I've got Destiny as well. Let's play some Destiny. And that's the one thing that I've been lacking with Destiny that I haven't had someone to play with.
You meant to go on Grindr, you said, yeah?
Grindr, that's right.
You said Kick.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. The app that I get lots of attention from. And we started playing, and it was
That's
good
the best
fun.
screenshot, by the way. I'm so glad you did that.
And I have just been continuously playing that now, and it's got me back in. I love Destiny so much, and it's like it's crazy how little it takes to get me back into Destiny. It's just so good.
What's funny is...
Which is going to upset a lot of Final Fantasy fans, because they're like, Ed, you were this close! You were this close to
I've
greatness."
heard Final Fantasy 16 is really good.
Yeah.
The only Final Fantasy I care about is half of those again away. You know, it's like 9. If you were playing 9, 10, 7, cool. I don't care about 16. I'm sure it's really good. What's really frustrating to me, as a personal note, I don't give a shit about Final Fantasy, but you went to Destiny, which is like the hot young swimsuit model. But the MILF of a mother, Stacey's mum, Halo, made by the same guys. You got the MasterChef collection. Stacey's mum has got it going on, bruv. I'm telling you, play it.
Listen. Look, ever since this FTC merger thing that's been going on with Xbox and Activision, I can't support anything Halo. Granted, I've already bought it.
Or someone bought it gifted to you.
Someone
it's
bought
even
it for
worse,
me.
isn't it? It's like...
Putting in my time, however, as a Sony pony, I cannot.
Sony owns Bungie. It's a Bungie product.
Ah, shit, you got me in between a rock and a hard place there.
Yeah.
Got me in a box here. No, do you know, speaking of MasterChef, there was a Dextrose, the Twitter page. Every now and again they do this thing where they're like, what streamer are you watching this week? What this you doing this week? And they go, what is the best video game character of all time? And it's got...
I saw this. It's obviously Kratos.
Well, it had all of these, but for Kratos, they misspelt his name to Kartos, so Kartos. It was the only one that was misspelled. Everyone was just like, oh my god.
Disrespect.
I was boiling.
Put some respect on my man's name.
Right? And then I was like, oh shit, this is probably how Sheps feels when I say MasterChef every time. Damn it.
MasterChef's funny. It's any time... Do you remember when we did Anime Club? I think you, every single time, and not on purpose, I think the only name you actually got right all the time was All Might.
Yes.
And we watched a bunch of different anime with a lot of pretty reasonable names, and you couldn't get a single one.
Daku's pretty cool, man.
I hate it. I was very impressed though.
Backgammon.
Backgammon, yeah, that's it. How do you
Backgammon,
remember
that?
I don't know. Is at least you got Jin's name right whenever we talked about Ghost of Tsushima. Like Jin, it's a 3-letter word.
If I could
drink the stuff, you know.
I could easily mess up a 3-letter word, but luckily that one I nailed. I was like, there we go, good.
I'm pretty impressed with this guy. Really for you. But the MasterChef one, not so much. But every anime club. It was actually a headache. You know, at the back of your head, you're like, I feel pressure building, and I can't let it go. It was that. Exactly. You know that feeling from that tweet. Also, very clearly, Kratos the best of those characters. Yeah. Nothing against anybody on that list.
No.
But obviously, Kratos in the most recent 2 games, Kratos, obviously.
Yeah. Especially because Halo has I would say Master Chief is very iconic and very a great character from what I've seen and what I've heard from everyone, all the source material that we talked about.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
But he's not been done any justice in even over a decade. Hell,
you haven't. He's an ancient character at this point. We haven't seen an actual Master Chief rendition, a new version of it.
Yeah.
Since he wasn't in Reach, so since Halo 3, right? We just haven't had Master Chief content. I will say, a great character actually, and really well developed from the books. He has plenty of I read the books after playing all 3 games.
Yeah.
And I felt in the games he had a lot of character growth. Although it's the sort of stuff that you get through, it sounds so weird, but a lot of his character growth comes from really pregnant pauses where he just doesn't say anything and somehow you can feel that he's really conflicted. He's the sort of guy that Cortana could say, I love you, and he'd be silent and you'd know that meant he said it back, sort of thing. It's a really weird... He's a great character, and really genuinely, and I think with the updated graphics you would enjoy the Halos. I'd love to see you play those, and I really love to see you play those.
Maybe one day if the stars align. However, for now...
Yeah. This is all your fault. If we had enough money...
If you guys would head over and just indoctrinate yourselves into our Patreon, then you guys would be all cool.
Where could they go to make this Halo adventure happen? open for you, Ed.
They could head over to patreon.com/Conbrosations. You're clicking the link in the description. Just type it in that search bar up there. We love it if you guys would do that. And you could become one of our super bros, just like these amazing people are who've supported us at the super bro level. These great people. Isak, the ultimate cumsock, my juicy left nut, Sabine from Smallville, Mikey T, the gamer giant, Jim Hine, Sean, and Gemsmaster, the leader of the Empire, the fearless one, the great Lord Vader himself, step cousin, who isn't really that important, but sometimes he likes to hold things and make him feel like he's a part of everything, but it's not really happening.
When people are like, I can hold mine, it's like, no, please, let me hold it for you. Yeah.
That's what he's like. Thank you guys so much for your support over there. We appreciate you guys so much.
He gets so much shit.
He does. Okay, shall we kick it off with our first topic?
Yeah.
The big news that came out literally hours ago. Spider-Man 2's next story trailer was revealed and a limited edition PlayStation 5 was revealed with a controller and my god, it looks gorgeous. I was going to say, I told you about the story trailer. I didn't tell you about the limited edition console to get your reaction.
1 second. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah? Not doing it for you, is it?
Yeah, that'll do it.
That nice black and red right there. It is...
Do you know what's annoying? In these promo pictures, what colour is that goddamn light bar? I'm never like that, but it does. The colours are really good.
Alpha immediately pointed that out to me as well, and he was like, oh, look, it's got a blue light bar. And I was like, I bet you believe in the Tooth Fairy as well. This guy. Anyway.
Why do they do this to us? I am so angry.
I don't know
if there was anything that in the current state of PlayStation that could push me off the pony, it's that.
Yeah.
The personal attack that is the light bar for 2 generations now.
It's a good thing that they don't do those personalities anymore over at PlayStation, because had they done it, there would be interviews. Well, at least I would be one of those people that did an interview. That'd be like, okay, so anyway, this is all great. Thanks so much for Spider-Man 2 that was shown over there. Like, what's going on?
So the light bar.
Why is it? And then just rip into him. Why is it that you guys think it looks cool, but then you don't implement it?
Security, stop him from leaving. We've got some questions.
I've got questions. Anyway, Spider-Man 2 was given a new story trailer at San Diego Comic-Con 2023. As well as that, they revealed this beautiful limited edition console along with a controller, which will be available on the 1st of September, a whole month and a half before the game actually comes out, which is interesting.
That's an odd way to do it.
It is very interesting. I'm not sure why they're doing that, perhaps, but anyway, they're doing that. And yeah, you'll get a game code in there for the game when it comes out, so you'll be like pre-ordering it almost. I think it looks pretty sexy. Now, for those of us that are serial console collectors, looking at someone over here.
Oh! Yeah, I've got more consoles than you, I do.
You do?
I'm certain of it.
Okay, alright, cool.
I've got, let me think, 2 PS1s, 2 PS2s, PS3, PS4, PS5, obviously, 3 Xbox 360s, an Xbox One, GameCube, and 64.
You still all have them?
Yeah, obviously.
That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, of course I do.
So, I was actually making a joke at me because I've bought so many iterations of PlayStations. Like,
I think you've definitely owned more PlayStations.
Right. Because when it came to like PlayStation 4 and I started to have disposable money, I was like, cool, I'm getting the black one, then I'm getting the white one, then I'm getting the Metal Gear Solid one, and then I'm getting
500 million.
And then the Pro that comes out, I'll get that one, and then I'll get the white Pro, and then I'll get the 500 million Pro limited edition one, and now I'm doing the PlayStation 5. It seems like. For those of us that were thinking that, but were like, oh, fuck, I really don't want to spend another £500 on it. They are actually, for the first time, listening to us, and they're selling the plates separately, so you can buy them at the same time and not have to buy a whole new console. Only 3.5 years into this console, but we're getting it, boys. We're finally getting it.
The freight train that is the PlayStation, family. Takes a long time to change directions. It
befuddles me because it's like they designed it from the get-go. They were like
Scrabble. Befuddles you, yeah?
I'm working on a couple of words there. they designed it from the beginning to be removable, to be changeable. So you were like, oh, they've had this idea back from the genesis of the creation of the PlayStation 5, and then it's taken 3 years for it to come out with their very first one when a game comes out for them to capitalize on those sales. Utter madness, but it's there anyway. No word on price. You'll also be able to get the controller separately as well if you want to.
What would you price them at?
Well, here's the thing: the normal coloured ones are £44, £44.99, £45. I would like it to just be the same price. However, I think it'll be £5-10 more.
Yeah.
Just because it's like a limited edition.
Yeah.
Like that. And I don't think that's too expensive. I feel like 50 quid, not bad for a
Yeah, I thought like 50. I reckon it would probably end up being close. I think it'll be close to 60.
Yeah.
I think you'll pay 50 for the premium.
I think the way another way to think about it is that the console is what, £500?
Yeah.
10% of the price. 12% of the price.
Yeah.
Instead of buying a whole new console, you've got that and worrying about selling your old one and stuff. So I think that's pretty good right there. It looks fantastic. Anyway, now let's talk about the trailer that we watched. So, how did you feel about the Spider-Man 2 trailer?
I gotta say, initially I was a little confused because there's a scene with Harry who wasn't introduced, who I haven't seen yet in the game. Because I, as it turns out, didn't play Spider-Man PS4.
That was the strangest situation.
Still haven't played it, by the way.
That we talked about it so much that you convinced yourself into that you played it, and I convinced me as well.
Do you know
I thought you had played it by how much we talked about it.
And the thing is as well, is I remember you saying about Aunt May dying, and I was like, I don't remember that.
Wait.
Oh well, I didn't go, oh shit. I was like, why don't I remember that? That's weird.
Just slipped my mind. Because I definitely played it.
It's so strange, and I still haven't played it. And I mean to, but every time I go to buy it, I'm like, well, I've played this game. No, you haven't played this game. Anyway, so obviously I haven't seen Harry in the game, and I haven't spent a long time looking at Pete, and I know he was changed in the PS4.
Yeah.
Spider-Man PS4. So I'm looking at these two brothers. I'm like, one of them is obviously Spider-Man, one of them's Peter Parker, and one calls the other Pete. And then it cuts immediately to a shot of two Spider-Mans. And I'm like, hold on, I thought that's Miles' suit. I'm bare confused. Is this a white Miles thing? I'm so confused. And then he calls him Harry. I'm like, oh, it's Harry. And then, there's obviously a scene where he bumps into Miles, and Miles is like, oh, new job? Still gonna have time for tuning? I'm like, cool, Miles, we're back on track.
We're back on track.
But I was so confused for the first 15 seconds.
This could only happen in your unique situation where we believe that you've played the game and you've got enough knowledge of the game.
We spoke about the game in detail. In fair detail.
That's the reason why you got that impression in your mind.
And it's not like I said anything and you were like, that doesn't happen in the game. Do you know what I mean? It's very... I don't know how this happened. Yeah. This is very much lied on the CV and got away with it. Do you know what I mean? But I am obviously very interested in the next one. However, I don't know what time I'm going to play it in. I've had what? How long has Jedi Survivor been out? A month? Maybe a bit more?
A bit more.
6 weeks?
Yeah, something like 6 weeks, yeah.
Not very far into it.
You're at a very difficult stage in your life right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So time, not get any of that, but I still consider myself a gamer. Do you know what I mean? It's like you used to ski a lot when you were a teenager, and now you're 50 and you haven't skied in 30 years. But you're like, yeah, I can ski.
But
I can still ski, and you go on a black slope and die.
Jesus Christ.
That's how I feel.
Look, you're going to have to get some more time in, otherwise these guys are going to revoke your gamer card. As long as they don't touch your gay card, then it's fine.
I was about... I was gay card.
Get right there.
Yeah, you have to be a child of the 90s for that.
Yeah. Probably dropped your gay card like that.
I actually nearly looked. It's been so long since anyone's tried that on me.
Oh, boy.
I'm keen for it. I will say as well, I thought your theory was right based on the build of Venom, and I know that the point of villain Venom is that he's big and bulky, way bigger than Spider-Man.
My theory is in that Venom is Craven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it all looks like it's Harry now.
Is it though? So join me here. Join me.
Take us on the journey, Brad.
I have got this impression warranted or not, you guys can tell me in the comment section that Insomniac are trying to pull the wool over our eyes.
Right.
Like, they're like, guys, it's Harry.
Look
over here. Look over here, guys. Over here. Look over here. Over where my hand is. I'm doing something over here. Something doesn't smell right. And
it's
also,
like one of those ones that's so obvious. Like it's too obviously subtle.
yes.
Does that mean it's like, oh, whoops, did we give that away in the trailers? Oh, sorry guys, you're just too smart.
And Insomniac in the last game were willing to keep some secrets to themselves, even with the collector's edition. The collector's edition was Spider-Man fighting Dr. Octavius's arms, but in the promo material, it was all covered up. Yeah. And they would be like, oh, censored and like wait until release, and you couldn't tell. It's because they didn't want to give away that reveal at the end.
Tentacle hentais.
Well, there was no tentacle. You couldn't. Oh, okay, because because he's a furry. Yeah, because.
I don't know how you got furry.
I'm sorry, the video you sent me about how anime fans are basically furries. We'll talk about that later. Fair. It's a fact now.
It's a true fact.
They covered it all up, so you couldn't tell.
Fun and games her turn up to the next Comic Con in a fursona.
What? What?
That's what they call them. You know when furries make up their furry selves as costumes? You've seen that, yeah?
Yeah.
It's called a fursona. Like a persona, but it's your furry persona, fursona. So just wait until you get your electric blue freaking cat suit, bruh.
I won't go with you. I promise you now you won't go. We won't be together. I promise you now. There is nothing you could do to make it happen. I promise you.
Challenge accepted.
I will bully you with the rest of the people in the area. Look at that idiot!
Look at this guy!
Even the people that are dressed in furry outfits, they'll be like, look at this dickhead!
Do you know what I'm going to do? This is what I would do if I was actually a furry. Is I'd be like, no, I'm coming as Chewie. And it'd be like a small, you know, more like an Ewok at my height. You know? And they'll be like, oh no, it got dyed blue somehow or whatever.
In the wash.
Or orange or something. Like, whoops, it's supposed to be like Chewy colour, but it got dyed orange. Whoops, how did that happen? With my Conbros t-shirt. And then you'd be like, doesn't look like Chewy. Like, oh, well, you know, I only had so much time.
I'm not very good at it, you know. Yeah. But I'm perfect for being a cat, a dire wolf or whatever the hell it was. Cat thing, whatever you mean.
I'm not even going to Google. I was going to try and Google.
Just open up one of your folders, I'm sure it's there. Anywho,
hard
as I was saying, I feel like they're trying to do that. Yeah. Like I said, in Spider-Man 1, they were trying to hide that information there. Well, obviously, once you started playing the game, you could start to tell that, oh shit, he's going to become Dr. Octavius, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like they're known for those kind of like secrets, and they didn't hint at all at Aunt May dying and all this stuff. So I think there's something more here. And also, in that trailer, if you guys go have a look, there's a moment where Peter in the symbiote suit is fighting with Dr. Connors as Lizard, and it looks like he's like the roar that Liz is making freaks out the symbiote suit.
Yeah, the symbiote's weak against sound,
But what kind of sound? I mean, at least
loud sounds.
Okay, I didn't know that. In Spider-Man 3, it was like tuning fork sounds, basically.
Yeah, well, that's just sounds like a loud pitch, you know. Okay. Like, for example, if an explosion went off nearby, that's not going to do it.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's not going to be enough. It's the reason that those, like, him banging on those things is because each one's vibrating, so each one's constantly making a noise.
Okay.
And they're all irritating it. You watched the movie where he does the bell and stuff?
Yeah.
The old animated one?
I thought it was...
Or the show? The cartoon?
No, I haven't.
But if we grew up in the same era, there's no way you haven't seen it.
I was too busy watching Smallville. A better show. Anywho,
how many human traffickers in the animated Spider-Man show? Yeah, that's what I thought. In fact, don't answer that question because they were obviously involved in Hollywood. So don't.
I was going to say, it's Hollywood. Come on. I withdraw my statement. Withdraw my question. Straight there from the record. So as I was saying, in that one scene, it looks like he's roaring, and then it looks like the symbiote suit sort of like spreads out and goes around Lizard.
I'm gonna rewatch this.
And I'm like, could that be a hint that maybe he's gonna also absorb the powers?
It's actually Doc Connors.
Yeah.
That would be monstrous. Imagine like
I wonder if they would do it. It would be quite monstrous. I wonder if they'll do it because then it'd be like a villain on top of another villain. Like it'd be a bit strange.
That's gonna be tough, yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, that was one hint, and then there was like scenes where he's fighting Kraven's goon. So I'm like, then there's like a reasonable assumption that maybe it could spread to Kraven. So there's multiple hints. It just seems that there's this very obvious like, guys, it's Harry. Look right here.
I do feel that, and also it would make more sense. It looks like it's pulling away from the lizard, or to me at least. It would make more sense because there's a short scene where I guess that's MJ is sort of in a very Last of Us colouring, like in a red like subway tunnel, something, and ducks into a corner to get away from the venom.
And she says like he's not himself. Like we need to help him. So
but I don't think that audio. Obviously, that audio is not from them because she's being quiet. So like I don't think that's necessarily Pete in that scene. That could be Venom gets on something or someone else. And
could be. We have to make a quick word about MJ.
Yeah.
The glow up. I'm looking for more MJ scenes, MJ missions, I should say. That was the one thing that everyone complained about. They were like, oh, the MJ missions are like pointless. You're going from like a Spider-Man who can swing around to this one woman who's like sneaking around a museum for 5 minutes. It was bullshit. I want more of them now. She's way hotter in this than any other. And I did get a little bit of shit. My girlfriend got a little bit jealous. I was like, she's a fictional character and it's a CG in a game, and she got a little bit jealous. Thank you, by the way, Adam, for ratting me out on that.
These guys have no chill.
No chill.
Luckily, my girl's not on Twitter, because I'd have been
done. They'd be like, "Did you know he likes furries?" Oh shit!
This guy be simping on Ben Affleck's Batman. Like.
Anyway, I did like this. Oh, sorry, we didn't talk about the big wing, the huge thing, literally huge, Venom.
Yeah.
How do you like the look of Venom? I sent you a high resolution picture to Discord if you want to check that out. But Venom looks incredible.
Very good.
Oh.
Very Venom. Much better.
I love the way it goes over the shoulders and stuff.
Much better than the live action movies.
Yeah. How dare you? How dare you? Listen, what's his name?
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy does his best, okay? And do you know what the worst part about that whole movie is? Where they try to do the half-open face and then half Venom. And I'm like, yeah, but his head is so tiny compared to the Venom thing like that. And then there's the weird shadowing they have to do with CG and it just looks so bad.
It's not good. It's just not good. I really like... First of all, Venom's like a favourite of mine.
Yeah.
Always been a Venom fan. I think it looks good. I'm not a super fan of what they've done with the symbiote type powers.
Yeah.
With Pete. So I'm not a huge fan of the porcupine stuff.
Okay, how he's sort of like like that.
I'm not necessarily...
Is there a particular reason? I'm not as big as...
Just doesn't feel like Venom to me. Like Venom I know. I feel like... Let me rephrase that. It's not that I have a problem... Well, first of all, let's talk about the movies. That's not how Venom's powers work. That the movies are stupid. Tom Hardy's movies are stupid. It's stupid. That's stupid. It doesn't work. We're stupid. Dumb. Idiot. Stupid. But the thing that I don't like about it is that Venom is a symbiote, right? And the reason I say that is that it's not just you become like Venom, right? So there's this whole thing of like Pete becomes more aggressive. It doesn't just work that way around. Venom picks up the attributes of the person he's attached to.
Right.
So if he was to like attach to Aunt May, Venom would be a much nicer being than he would be if he was to attach to like one of the villains, right? Like he picks up personality traits and like abilities and stuff. So you notice that like Venom can do web stuff after he's been with Pete because he imprints on him. At least if we're going with the we're going with the Sam Raimi trilogy. Venom,
yeah.
Right? So I prefer the idea of Venom picking up when he's with Pete, just making him a stronger Spider-Man, right? Whereas if he was on Doc Ock, I would think that he would do the venom arms more, which is a thing that the symbiote can do, but it's not something that the symbiote would do on Pete.
I get what you mean now. Because a bit like in Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, where he gets the symbiote, it turns his suit black, it makes him more aggressive, makes him more stronger. It doesn't make him grow arms and shoot things out. I get what you mean. Yeah.
Right, but if he was to have gotten to Doc Ock or like Clayface or someone whose body changes, then he would act, or it would act more like that.
I get you. Yeah.
So that's my preference. My preference is that the Venom is that Venom, and for the record, I consider Venom to be Venom when it's attached to somebody.
Okay.
You know, they say like, we are Venom.
Yeah.
Venom is a symbiote until he's attached, and then he's Venom, right?
Yeah.
So, but my preference is that a Venom is more of the thing that he's attached to, that he's symbiotic with, right? So if he was on one of the X-Men, for example, he'd act more like whichever X-Men he was on, right?
Yeah.
If he was on the Hulk, he wouldn't be webbing around so much, right?
He'd just be like a super strong...
Right.
Yeah, okay, I get you.
Right.
I get you.
Or he might like modify, so like the Hulk jumps around to travel far a distance, so Venom might add like the wingsuit thing to increase the jump distance.
Yeah.
Right? So he'd make the jumps more effective. That's Venom's. That's the way he works, right? If he was on, I'm trying to think of a. Yeah, like
I feel you.
Yeah. So that's my beef. That's my thing.
No, I like the idea. I like the idea of that. By the way, I think that's better because then it becomes more about the symbiote boosting the attributes of the person that it attaches to, and then the host actually matters, and that becomes a big part of it, which I think is what the stories are supposed to be about. Again, I'm not the biggest Spider-Man comic reader or anything, so I don't know.
That's what makes Agent Venom is where he attaches to. I want to say it's Flash.
Oh yeah.
You know, like a Pete's childhood bully.
Guy.
But like it's a perfect like union where they're like they don't argue. They are Venom. So it's not, you know, like in the movies with Tom Hardy, it's like Eddie Brock and Venom are arguing.
Yeah.
Or they have difference of opinions. Like the Agent Venom is like, boom. This is it. There's no like, I think this, you think that. It's like, we think X, right? And he ends up being like a anti-hero. It's quite cool. And I prefer my Venoms to be that, right? Like that's how symbiotes work. It's symbiosis. It makes whatever it's in stronger.
That's the key part there. Yeah.
And I've always liked that. I've always found that interesting about Venom, and that's why like Carnage is so interesting, because Carnage is like an evil symbiote. Like it actually is evil, and so it looks for evil people. It doesn't like regular people. Obviously, there are whatever beings that they would be more symbiotic with.
Yeah.
But like Carnage looks for serial killers and horrible. That's what it likes. So that's what it bonds with. Venom's a bit more. He's a predator, obviously, or it's a predator. But yeah, that's always been a thing for me.
I feel you.
And that's one of the reasons I hate the freaking movies with Tom Hardy, because they're like throwing venom daggers and stuff, and it's like one, that's his body.
He's never gonna get that back. Is that?
That doesn't. Yeah, it's not a thing that he can do. And two, like it doesn't make sense that he would be doing that, right? Like his venom, in a sense, works because he's just a bigger, stronger Eddie who's like a predator. He's got claws and bite stuff, and like if he's traveling up a wall, he uses his claws to get in there. But if he picked it up off Spider-Man, he should be able to web.
Yeah.
It's a thing that Venom has picked up. If you picked it up off a natural webbing Spider-Man. Do you know what I mean? Like it's frustrating. That's frustrating to me. I like Venom, so
I like your idea better. That's the way. But we'll have to see how it's executed. As everything, you just have to see how things are executed and then go from there.
Do they use canisters in?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I sent you a few more high resolution pictures and whatnot.
He looks really good.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I have to say I did actually forget it was a CG trailer when it was Peter Miles talking at the fair.
Yeah.
I was like, when did they make?
Oh wait, hold on. You mean in this trailer?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's cutscene, but I think it's live rendered.
No. Okay.
So when there was a bit of a hubbub that came out over Twitter, the Venom picture came out first.
Yeah.
Entertainment Weekly, they got like an exclusive 24-hour.
Because like that could be a photo, almost.
They said that it's all actually running on a PlayStation 5, which is absolutely insane to think about. And this is over YouTube compression. Like, imagine what's going to look on your TV.
Like I said, man, I haven't heard the fans of my PS5 kick on yet.
Yeah.
Like, I really genuinely believe what I said, I think it was the last episode, like, I don't think we've come close to pushing the limits. It's like, that's why we don't need a PS5 Pro. The PS5 is like a sleeping giant. It's not even been woken up from its nap yet. Like,
seems that way.
You know, there's tons to be wringed out of it yet. Man, Miles' suit looks so good.
It does, doesn't it?
I really, really, really hope this is enough to get Miles his own game.
He deserves it, man. Speaking of Miles,
yeah,
not that it's a huge thing, but this was something that came up on Twitter.
Another black character with electric powers.
Yeah. Do you know what is so funny? I saw another video. I don't know if you've seen this. It's like clearly like a nerd podcast with guys talking about like superheroes and stuff like that. Yeah. And there was 2 white guys and 2 black guys, and they're all like friends, and they were talking. They're like, by the way, guys need to have a talk with your black characters. The white guy says to the black guy.
Yeah.
The guy's like, what? He's like, look, you guys need to stop taking our ginger characters. I swear to God. And he's like, what are you talking about? And the other guy goes, yo, check your man.
I haven't seen this, but I know immediately what you're talking about.
He starts listing off things like Starfire is turned black now, Batwoman in the new Batwoman TV show is turned black, Little Mermaid's turned black. A bunch of ginger characters have turned black, and the guy just goes, he's like, do you know what? Actually, this is alarming. What's going on?
So I haven't seen that. But so that's really interesting. So like, they take either redhead roles or have electric powers. That's like
he brings up that point as well. He's like it's like the phenomenon about like black characters having electric powers. There's just no reason, but it just is.
So there is a reason. There's an early reason.
I remember
it just
we
got carried on. Yeah. Cool. I won't hammer on the point, but it's just.
That video came out, I just died laughing.
Watch. Have a look. Now that you know this, pay attention to like when you see black superheroes, most of them have some form of electric ability. It's odd.
Miles Morales' hair. Do you see the picture where he's talking with Pete?
Pete, yeah.
He got a new hairstyle. Now, I like it. I think it's cool, everything like that.
It's hair.
What's funny to me is that someone brought up on Twitter, they were like, ever since we've got Killmonger, every black character has got this hairstyle, and then proceeded to bring up like 7 different characters since. And I'm like, oh shit, it's a good hairstyle. Maybe that's just it.
What if it's just in fashion? You know,
it's just a nice hairstyle.
Like if you go back and look at like movies and shows from the 90s, there's a lot of perms and like big hair.
Yeah,
because that's just the way it was. Like,
but the guy was just like, good. The guy was just like, we get it. You like Killmonger.
Also, it's like that's Michael B. Jordan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he is famous, successful, good looking.
Yeah.
Like, hairstyles follow David Beckham at his height. Like, it's not surprising to me that, a successful, good looking, famous person with that kind of hair is.
Surprise.
Now, I will say, why don't we bring back the afros on my hot Nubian goddesses?
Oh shit, bro! Oh, when you're Nubian, okay.
Where's the afros on my Dora Milaje-esque? Minus the baldness, obviously. It's quite a departure. I
was gonna say they're quite a departure from the character they made there. Did you see there was a trailer? I probably haven't seen. It's quite new. The Marvels trailer came out. So this has got Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, and your
Monica Rambeau.
Monica Rambeau. And she's got her afro in that with her beautiful white and black suit. Looks pretty nice.
I'm skipping to this, I don't give a shit.
It's great.
Skip. Skip. Oh, hello. What?
Do you want to... Should we turn off the cameras for a second?
Yeah, I'm going to need a moment.
while Sheps is doing that, let me skip over to our Discord server where some of our guys have written, and just like you guys can by clicking the link in the description.
She has such fantastic hair. But the thing is, it's just, sorry, frick you, Discord, I'm talking. It's obviously fluffy because she has that sort of fluffy hair, but it's not quite the afro.
Yeah, it's longer hair, like longer curls, right?
Yeah.
And then
I'm loving that it's natural though. Like I apparently there's this thing. I'm obviously not part of the African hair community.
Why not?
But like apparently there's a thing about like natural hair not being like
the hair doesn't grow very fast. I think that's what it is, right?
I
think it goes super slow. That's why most people like get weaves or whatever. And I know that I know it's because I've had a lot of black friends in my life. They have these techniques where they tie their hair in a certain way that pulls almost on their hair to like get it to grow faster. And anyway, it's super slow growing.
So I obviously also North London, many black friends. I know that there's different. Let me pause this. I know there's different. They have different hair types. So my mate was I guess it's a gene. His was C3, so it grew in a certain...
wait, they're specific. They're within
so
them.
They grow it in different ways. So like you see some guys. This is just an observation where it looks like almost broccoli or like when you look at trees from a plane. The hair.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's not on purpose. I guess you call it. It's not a style. It's the kind of African. I don't know what that hair's called, but it's that kind of hair.
Interesting.
And you see ones that are like more not gappy.
Man, we're so boring as white people. It's either greasy or dry.
This is what I'm saying.
Two types, guys. Let's go mad.
This is what I'm saying. It's so much more interesting. Anyway, I'm all about the afro, so I want to see the afros come back. I love that hair. I think it looks... Besides the point, this is a gaming podcast.
Oh, a gaming podcast. Over on Discord, Mikey T, the gamer giant, writes in and he says, anyway, away from all of that, because there's a first part to his comment, he says, how good does Spider-Man 2 look? Can't wait for it. Looks like Insomniac have absolutely knocked it out of the park. I can't wait to play it on the C2 downstairs, the OLED TV I've got downstairs, because that's good. They're obviously going to have the best performance modes and stuff like that, because they're pioneering it at the moment. He goes, a question for you guys: if Spider-Man and Starfield stick the landing, and the other big releases like Alan Wake 2, Phantom Liberty, etc., are as great as they look to be, will 2023 go down as one of the best years of gaming ever? It's going to be tough to call one game of the year this year. Honestly, there's far too many games coming out, especially at the end of the year. If they do stick the landing, it's going to be an absolute... I think we will have to call it the best year of gaming. I can't remember one that's been this great.
To be honest, we've been spoiled. The last 5 years, we've been completely spoiled.
Yeah, there's...
2018 had God of War.
2018 and Red Dead Redemption 2.
And Red Dead Redemption. 2019 had The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima.
Yep.
I remember there being good games in 2020, but I've deleted it from my mind.
Spider-Man also came out in 2018 as well.
Gee, that's a big year. 2018 is going to be tough to beat for anybody.
Yeah, that was a huge year. The thing is that those were 3 games right there that stuck the landing.
Yeah.
Like you said, if these... Spider-Man, likely to stick the landing.
Almost certain, let's be honest.
Alan Wake 2, while it's a bit lower profile,
niche.
I think it
Maybe
will...
like Control.
I think it will stick the landing, like we're saying. Phantom Liberty, I have hope. However, we can't give them that hope yet until...
Cyberpunk works now. I went back and played a bit of it.
Yeah.
I still don't have the urge to play it because at the end of the day they can't change that story and it's just a bit meh. But if you ever do watch Edgerunners, you will want to go back and play Cyberpunk. And it works. It works. It's good. It's okay now.
Well, when Phantom Liberty comes out, I will play it from start to finish because they don't have all the quality of life changes and everything like that. So I'll get to experience the game again.
First, man. Not play. Watch Edgerunners first. It's 3 hours total.
That doesn't sound too bad.
It's not bad.
But then
it's less than one. No. Oh, yeah, it's animated, but it's not anime. And let me put it to you this way: it's less than one Justice League watch. So that's one good movie. It's less than the length of one good movie.
Good point.
Good point. It's not too bad. Not too bad.
Speaking of other games as well
Yeah.
that are coming out, for me personally, City Skylines 2, banger.
Obviously, everybody's talking about that.
Lies of P is coming out.
Yeah, The Life of Pi.
Life of Pi.
We're interested for that. I don't know if that's going to be good.
I played the demo. It was very cool looking, and especially the aesthetic.
It's not going to be an Elden Ring. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to come out of nowhere.
It's going to be... I think it'll be quite good.
I think it'll be good, but it's not going to, like, take the
Yeah, it's not going to be like open world like Elden Ring was. And then there's that game. What's the game called? For Warhammer 40k, Space Marines 2.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be pretty good. On top of everything else that we've mentioned, I think this is going to be a fucking stellar year.
Like
and Diablo's already got so many numerous 10s out of 10s, even though it's not my cup of tea. Dead Space came out this year, Final Fantasy 16, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Resident Evil 4, Zelda Tears of Kingdom came out. This is a ridiculous year. 2023 is actually mad when you think about it.
It's just been me. I haven't had the time to do it. Because, well, the thing is, though...
Bruv, it doesn't matter. Even if you had a normal person amount of time, you can't fit all of this fucking shit in there. I bet there are people out there that are like, I haven't played all of those games you just mentioned.
Yeah,
and I probably won't play all those games for like the next 5 years.
I mean, like I say, my point is that this year isn't stacked, but that we've actually been spoiled. So like last year, you had Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon.
Yeah.
You know, like that was, plus all the bunch of other stuff that came out, which I can't remember. Like, it's been stacked. I do think, this is so frustrating to me, I do think Starfield sticking the landing is what will make or break the year.
Yeah.
Meaning that if Starfield sticks the landing, it actually won't just make or break the year, it could make or break the decade. And what I mean is, maybe someone goes, you know what, Phil Spencer, shut the frick up. We're not allowed to just acquire stuff and ruin it and drive it into the ground, but we can make good games. And actually, although people won't sell their PlayStations to buy an Xbox, they will just buy our good games. And we can make a lot of money. And I hope Starfield's amazing and it makes a lot of money. Because that's probably enough to get rid of Phil. Because Phil's the problem. He's the one that pitched Game Pass. He's the one that's been keeping it alive. He's the one that's been lying to everybody. And now, we've seen the emails. He's lying to you. It is a lie. And it's not just to you and to the guys with Xboxes. That lie affects the market. And they have, like it or not, the biggest marketing budget. So they have the biggest voice, whether or not they are the biggest player. So they do affect the market significantly. If it sticks the landing, one, you won't hear the freaking end of it from Xbox. And two, there'll actually be some competition. And I think that is what will light a fire under the year. Because before it was like, look, all these good games that came out on PlayStation and PC. But now it'll be like, look at all the good games that came out. No matter what you're on, you got fire to play. There's fire over here. There's fire over there. You know, like...
This is really their only shot as well. There's nothing else they've got coming out.
Not for like 3 years. When's Elder Scrolls 6?
Apparently that's not even in pre-production yet. Which is ridiculous to think about.
It's been like
4 years, 5 years since the announcement. It's ridiculous.
And I'm not expecting a game that I love. Freaking lost the name of it now.
Mass Effect?
Nope. It's coming out. It's an Xbox title. Fable. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. I'm not expecting Fable 3 to be out in under 3 years. I don't care what anyone says. It's just not going to be out in under 3 years. So this is the only win they've got on the, coming up on the books. And if it's a big win, if it's good enough, and I hate to say this because of who we're talking about, but done correctly, if there's enough, a taste, a flavour of... You good? What's up? Please tell me we have all the audio.
No, we don't. We have bad audio on our cameras.
Uh-huh. How long have we been going?
Probably like an hour and a half. It's this new setup. It's thrown us all through a loop. I had that ready and I didn't just hit the button.
Do we start over or do we keep going?
I think it's going to be really hard to recreate all of the magic that we had there.
I do, but how bad's the audio? And it's going to take 20 minutes to pull it off and listen, isn't
I
it?
tell you what, let's continue. Our conversation is going to be from Spider-Man onwards. We'll have a Spider-Man discussion again at the beginning. If I take it off and I listen to it and it sounds too terrible to continue.
Cool.
Yeah?
I'll follow your lead.
Okay, cool. Anyway,
So now we have the audio.
so now we have the audio.
I love that we checked the levels as well. Just didn't hit record. Sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
Okay, so here's one more comment from BS Bro 2, our boy too, who says, Spider-Man trailer was sick. Plan to get the PS5 bundle either on launch day or in September if they're selling one without the game. If not, I'll just settle for the regular PS5 and definitely getting a PS5 I'm definitely getting a PS5 within the next 3 months.
Gaming.
Finally, we've been talking about you getting a PlayStation 5 forever. That's amazing, bro. Good stuff.
First point, I just think it's insane that you could buy a Spider-Man PS5 without the game.
Yeah.
That's mental to me. No, I don't mean like secondhand, but like that feels like it should be a legal requirement. One of those things that where it's like it's just on the hard drive.
On the box, it should just be there, in it, right? Yeah. Giuseppe also writes in and he says, first off, damn, Spider-Man 2 PS5 Venom is fire. Can't wait to play it. I won't read the rest of your comment right now because it's about the merger thing. We'll move on to that in a bit. Remake the Gateway says, the Spider-Man 2 in-game screenshots feel unreal, and I think it's more of a screenshot from a cutscene using the in-game engine instead of the actual screenshot from gameplay. Because it looks so good. Update, Spider-Man 2 story trailer dropped, and holy shit, I'm hyped as fuck. Definitely gonna try to get the faceplates and the controller. Same here, bro. Same here. And that's all about it from the Spider-Man talk. Thank you guys so much for writing in and everything you guys do. I love you all so much. Let me just check. Cool. All right. Before we get any further, bro.
Yeah.
This is the True Gamer Podcast. Coming to your eyes and ears every Saturday here at youtube.com/Conbrosations1. You can find us...
I hate that we actually own Conbrosations and that YouTube won't let us.
Watch won't let us use it. If you're watching over there on YouTube, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel because it helps us out over there. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And if you're listening to us on podcast services like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us, give us a 5-star rating. I really appreciate it over there. Thank you so much for your support, everything you guys do. If you guys love us, if you guys want to take your support that extra mile, though, that extra step, you can head over to patreon.com/Conbrosations and kick us a couple of bucks a month, and you can get early access to this show the day that it's recorded, like today, right now. Yeah. Except if you're watching this later, then it's not right now. And you can get the Patreon exclusive podcast, the Conbrosations podcast, where we take off all the filters and just show our true selves.
Right. These are Snapchat cat filters that you're looking at.
Exactly. Yeah. It's quite awful. You want the good stuff. That's what we want over there. And we have some genuine down-to-earth conversations over there. I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. No holds barred.
Exactly. If you do support us at the $5 tier, though, you support us at the True Gamer tier, and you get your name read out with the rest of these True Gamers. I'm scrolling to get to names.
Obviously, one of the perks is our professionalism as content creators.
Exactly. Those great people are Adam the High Quality Potato, Gams Master, Sheps' Crusty Right Nut, Isak Manny, Jim, Mikey T, Sab2557, Gerald Tucker, Fishy, Cobra SS, Dagenham Dan, Adam Sunling, Max H, and Super Whale Ben. Thank you guys so much for keeping the lights and mics on the gaming going here at Conbrosations. Okay, bro.
Yes.
The next topic that we have is... the FTC have been denied in their injunction to stop the Activision and Xbox merger.
Yeah.
Which means there is nothing holding them back now.
Yeah.
They can complete the deal if they choose. Everything's all golden, no problem. There was a deadline that they had to get that done by the 18th, or the Microsoft would incur a $3 billion penalty.
Yeah.
And would have to pay Activision. But because there's nothing really stopping them from doing it. If they do want to go into it, they can apply for an extension, which they have done, which has extended this whole fucking thing over to October 20th.
Yeah.
I thought the best part about this whole thing was that it was going to be over. Turns out it's not over, and we have got another 3 months of this whole thing. Now, just to be clear, we don't know why exactly they went for an extension. In your mind, you would think that everything was sort of like just waiting to be signed.
Yeah.
There's possibilities, just to put it out there. No, I don't say this is happening. A couple of options that could happen. One, the deal's just going to go through, but just later. Maybe they're just hashing out some final deals. Two, Activision might be getting cold feet, and they might decide, you know what, this isn't worth it, or something like that, or they want to take their $3 billion and go.
Yeah, it's actually very important for people to realise that if there were no problems involved at all, and Microsoft was just like, we want to buy you, they could have been like, okay, let's hear your deal. Actually, we don't want to sell. Buy. Like, there's two sides to this. It's not just, oh, we're going to buy you because we have the money.
Or, then now that the deal has expired and it's in this like unknown area, that a third party has come in and offered them more money. A little bit unlikely, because you have to find someone super rich who's willing to offer more than 70 billion.
Well,
not out of the realms of possibility, it's just unlikely.
More unlikely, but still possible, is somebody else has a counter offer, but their offer is this equal or lower in terms of the dollar amount, but has a track record of not driving things into the ground.
Who knows?
Because so here's my crazy tinfoil hat theory, is that the management at Activision Blizzard can look at what's happened to everything that Microsoft's acquired, right? And will obviously have had a bit of extra access because of the level of this deal and how far it was progressed. If somebody else comes in at the 11th hour and says, hey, look, I've got half the money, or whatever, a fair value deal, but less money, but I won't kill your company. And in fact, I have a track record of making things that I purchase better. Then, even though it might be a lower deal, part of that fiduciary duty is not just how does it do for the shareholders, but like long term, what's healthier for the company, you know. And I'm not alluding to Sony. I'm not doing that. I'm saying that like somebody else might come in saying we have a better.
It is an interesting point there, actually. I mean, whether it holds any water, I don't know. I'm not legal in this way. I'm not like financially, like I'm a finance analyst or anything like that, or a shareholder of anything.
I am a lawyer. I watched all of Suits, including the final 2 seasons.
True that.
Where half the cast wasn't there. So I've seen the whole thing. So
I'll hold to your expertise.
Plus on TikTok, I get recommended not just Suits content, but Boston Legal. So that's like. Anyway, please continue. And all this is for free, by the way. It's for your education.
So as I was saying, maybe after like the shareholders and the company get to see more of behind the curtain, like we all have in this FTC trial, and how their plan is likely to make things exclusive and take things away from the majority of the market. Maybe they turn around and go, that doesn't sound like a good business idea. We potentially could lose a lot of money here. Maybe we don't want to do this. I don't know. I'm just throwing shit to the wall here. This could be entirely wrong. Maybe it is. I don't know.
There could be very large stakeholders as well, like people with, I believe that's 3 to 5+% ownership of stocks and shares, who could like when you own, let's say, 5% of a company, which that's a massive stake if you have, if someone owns 5% in like Activision Blizzard, and you write you're that guy, you know. Conbrosations owns 5%, and we write in. We're like, "Yo, who the frick runs Activision Blizzard? What's his job? Bobby. Dear Bobby, what the frick are you doing? Like, as you know, a serious stakeholder, I'm concerned because they picked up these companies and this has happened. Like at that point, people are sending emails to the CEO saying, "What the frick's going on?"
What happens to the shareholders in that situation when a merger happens? Do they just move over to Microsoft, or they keep that majority of that company within the company?
I have some experience on because my company had a minor demerger and then a potential merger coming up.
Okay.
And I worked with a client who went through a merger. So the individual bodies remain themselves legally. Okay. So for example, if Conbrosations owns Conversations After Dark, and someone wants to acquire Conversations After Dark, Conversations After Dark is its own entity, and we owned it as its own entity.
Right.
That's unchanged, right?
Right.
So, point being, if Activision EA goes, Activision Blizzard, don't know why I said EA, if Activision Blizzard goes under Microsoft, then your shares are still in Activision Blizzard.
Okay.
And that whatever happens to Activision Blizzard is its own thing, but it's owned by another company. That's all.
That's why I was only asking, because like if in the situation where like
You
once you get
suddenly become Microsoft stock or something.
yeah, I was if it suddenly changed, then that point would be mute then, because then you're not in that, you don't have the Activision Blizzard stock anymore. Okay, cool. Anyway, that's just a potential theory. That's not what we don't know if that's happening, whatever, but that's going on right there.
Yeah.
How do you feel? What's your reaction to this thing apparently happening?
Well, I was going to ask you, actually. I'm curious to hear your thoughts first, because you're Mr. Optimism usually.
Well, I have to say, I was a bit disappointed when I heard the news. Not disappointed in the fact, don't get me wrong, it's not like a Pony versus Microsoft Xbox type thing. There was a lot of really damning things that came out in that trial.
Yeah.
And I was, like I said, I don't think you needed to get a rock solid, oh my God, they're going to fuck everything up. You just needed a couple of bits of doubt. And then it should have said, okay, we're going to put this injunction until A, we investigate further and see what's going to happen, or maybe we're shutting this thing down. All of that was just ignored.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand it. And I was tricked. Right at the beginning of all of this, I said to myself, it's the government. What the fuck are they going to do? What do they even know? It's going to go through. They're just going to pay the right person. It's going to go through. Yeah. And then, because we saw so many hurdles pop, I was like, man,
so many people asking not only good questions, but the right questions, and then uncovering all the right stuff. The problem is,
I was like, well, maybe something's going to happen here.
The big thing is, you and I thought, maybe naively, that reasonably looking at this thing and showing that this would be bad, not just like potentially a bad business decision for Activision Blizzard, but that you can't trust Microsoft, Xbox, and Phil Spencer and all the stuff, all that internal stuff, because we're looking at it as consumers. Like, this is bad for us, this is bad for the product. They've been lying to us, because ultimately we're not actually Sony ponies, we're gamers. And so when Phil Spencer lies to Xbots and to his customer base and whoever's listening and believes that shit, he's lying to us as well.
Yeah.
We just know he's lying, right? And we've been right about that for 7 years or something.
Yeah.
That's us going, this is very clearly a bad decision. But what they had to determine was, is this like predatory? Is this a predatory business practice? And I one, feel like, and also two, reasonably think, and I do think I can remove myself enough, that actually they made enough of a case that it was. Obviously, some very smart people have decided it isn't. I don't agree.
There was one thing that the judge said that really sort of like stuck with me. Obviously, I wasn't in the courtroom and I didn't hear the stuff that was said.
I was, though.
Oh, you was? Okay, well, that's cool. You can correct me then. I saw the stuff that came out afterwards and saw the damning stuff. And even if there was undamning stuff, the damning stuff is still valid, so I don't know how that gets away. Right. But there was apparently one thing that she said where she was like, the FTC seemed like that they were trying to defend Sony more than trying to defend consumers. And she said, had you tried to defend consumers, I might have gone with you. And I was like, so hold on a minute. That's insinuating that you know there's something wrong with the consumers, but just because they didn't make that argument, then you're going to let it go through?
Yeah.
That's like going, I know you murdered it, but these guys aren't talking about the murder. They're talking about the car that you robbed to get to the murder. So for that reason, I'm going to let you go. How does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's how the law works. This is the thing. Everybody talks about courts and stuff, and they're like, it's the justice system. It's the legal system.
Yeah.
It's what's legal, or what's on paper, like literally the word of the law sort of thing. It's not about what's right. Also, I wish they would have made this argument and said, look, the consumers are being served by Sony, and this actively harms Sony, who have a majority stake in the thing. They're providing the best service, and you can see that by these numbers, the exact inverse of everything Xbox has said.
Yeah.
This is what Sony's doing. Look at all their whining and complaining, which is whining and complaining. The internal stuff is all about PlayStation, and what they're doing right that Xbox isn't doing. That's basically what they whined about. It's not that we're protecting Sony, we're protecting positive business models that serve the customer base. At the minute, it's Sony and Nintendo, but only Sony's being harmed by this, that are doing that. That's what they should have said. This isn't a defense of Sony, it's a defense of those business practices, and it happens that Sony's following them.
Yeah. There was a lawyer that I heard speaking about this. Now, I don't know enough about this to know whether or not they're speaking the truth or whether their analysis of it is true. But because obviously you could hear from a Sony pony type lawyer who's very pro Sony to be like, oh, they did everything right.
There are lawyers who are huge gamers, like this.
Exactly. Or whatever corporation, you like Sony or you like Microsoft or whatever. Yeah. And then there's another Xbox lawyer that's going to be like, oh, they did everything right and Sony, FTC had no chance, whatever. So take this with however you will. Apparently, it seemed like the FTC judge just had her mind set up from the get-go. Right. That it was going to be, that she was going to let this through, and everything that was being said was just like falling on deaf ears. And I've seen that happen before where like, no matter what, the judge has just got something against you, something against your position, who you're representing, or whatever it is.
Definitely no like financial incentives, or doesn't end up as like the legal counsel for Microsoft in 5 years or something.
Well, here's the worst part is that the judge, it was
her
known
son's
that
an Xbox.
Her son works for Microsoft.
So
should have been a conflict of interest. Some people are like, oh, but they knew about that in the beginning. It's like, yeah, but they also assumed that she'd be fair. And then when it came out, it was like, well, there we go.
So devil's advocate. If so, we did. I'd actually forgot, but we did know her son worked for Xbox. If it had come out and gone our way, I would have said, well, look, she was fair. And I do see people saying, well, you're just upset because she went against the decision you wanted. And is it possible that she was fair? Yeah. I just suspect that it seems like they made a very, very good case. And here is this thing where she could reasonably not be impartial, right? I feel like it's reasonable to say, look, I want a mistrial, right? The judge has a vested interest. We felt like she could be fair. We also feel like we've made a very, very, very strong case and it's been ignored. And the only reason that was given was a very thin, you're trying to protect another business, which, by the way, is very much the small guy here in terms of like the business's size, right? There's definitely the underdog who's punching well above its weight, or Microsoft's just weak as shit. You know, I think you could reasonably make the case that like we made a very, very strong argument that could well have been fairly dismissed. I understand that's a possibility, but I find that unlikely. But there is this, conflict here. It should be retried or mistrial.
Well, there is the FTC did withdraw their current like case file against the merger, which apparently is standard practice. That's what you do. Like after you lose, you have to withdraw it, whatever.
Okay, but
that doesn't mean that they can't reissue a new case under a different premise. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but there's a possibility of that. I don't know what happens in that situation. I'm not a lawyer. So does it go, okay, we put a pause again on the thing and we go for another year and a half?
Obviously, I practice a different kind of law.
Right.
So I'm not familiar with the ins and outs of this specific case. I wonder if it's a case of like double jeopardy, i.e. like, well, we tried you based on this premise. That was found to be a no. So if we're going to bring another case against you, it has to be a different premise. Yeah. I think there's a case to be made that they're criminally underserving their customer base and should have everything ripped away from them and all the companies left to fend for themselves again. Just break them up. Break them up. Anti-monopoly laws and that in it. Or whatever. I don't know. And again, not a lawyer for this very specific case. Every other case.
I'm a divorce lawyer. He's what type
whatever
of lawyer
suits do type of lawyer.
Okay, anyway, that's our top level feelings on here. Now that's done, dusted. We can't control what's going to happen there. If it seems like it's going through, that's how we have to operate from here on out. What do you think this deal is going to bring to us? What are your overall thoughts? What do you think is going to happen now that this deal has gone through? Do you have any sort of predictions?
I mean, Microsoft has more money than God.
Yeah.
So I don't. Now that this is over. I mean, look, there's a window, right, where something could happen, but it seems very much like it's going to be worst case scenario. Microsoft buys another thing, no one can reasonably stop them, and
so you think it's just going to continue? They're going to buy more and more things. Keep going.
The thing is,
like this isn't enough to satiate them. They're just like, no, we're going more.
Yeah, because it's not about what they own; it's about taking stuff away from people at this point. I think that's been proven as well. So I think they're gonna. You know what I said? That Game Pass was like a 50-year play for the whole of gaming.
Yeah.
Right? Turns out it's not 50 years, it's like 15 years. And the way they're going to do it is by taking enough away from you that the only thing you can play is their games or Sony stuff, and they're betting that Sony can't make enough with only their games.
Do you know what? Recently, I've had an idea about this.
Okay.
So I've had multiple theories of like why Microsoft might be buying this. In the beginning, I was like, oh, it's to take away Call of Duty from PlayStation, and that makes a lot of money for PlayStation. They're trying to cripple them that way. They're going to buy more studios, etc. Then it changed to maybe they've realized and they've just sort of like internally said like, we cannot make games, so let's buy a publisher that has got a track record for making games, and then we've made games, right?
Did that though.
That's the thing. That I mean, Redfall was an example of that, right? Like they can touch it and it can turn to shit. But still, that's a valid like thought process right there.
Yeah.
But now it's changed one more time.
Okay.
I think they purchased Activision Blizzard just to be like to have that massive positive revenue from
to
this
offset Game Pass.
To offset everything that they do right now. So. They'll keep Call of Duty. I don't think will be.
Doesn't have to foot the bill
exactly.
Anymore.
So
it's Xbox pays for its own crappy business.
That must be how they pitched it in the beginning. Because how do you sell that to your bosses? Can I have $70 billion to buy these things? By the way, we've shit the bed with everything we've done before.
Yeah.
Can we have $70 billion to do this? And they're like, the way they represent, they were like, look, they make $25 billion every year. We can have that revenue, and they'll be like, we won't make Call of Duty exclusive for a while, which will make us a ton of money, but we can put that on our service. It'll bring people in, blah, 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 and they say that stuff, and that's how they did it. I think one of the big reasons why they fought so hard was because they are not making enough money, and when they buy this big company, then they go, okay, it's a massive revenue stream coming in, and it essentially guarantees... It guarantees a large sum of money coming in every year, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And coming in from your competitor who's willing to sell it all the time. So that's never going to go away. I think that's the reason why they maybe went so aggressive for Activision Blizzard.
So here's why that's ridiculous.
Go on.
Is that you're arguing that we make a loss. Everything we've touched has made a loss. Let's spend a huge amount of money so that the loss comes out of our own P&L instead of like the group P&L. And here's why I think you're 100% correct. Because Phil's been making nothing but an incredible loss since 2017? 5 years solid. Just horrendous loss. It's been loss after loss after loss, and not just financially, but every game they comes out shits the bed. Somehow, whoever is going into that meeting and pitching the higher up execs at Microsoft is probably the best salesman ever. And has managed to make shitting the bed okay if it's in a bed that's already been shit in.
Yeah.
So that is ridiculous. And I think you're probably correct.
Yeah.
Like, that is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. And I agree with you. I think you're spot on. Like, it doesn't, in terms of good business practice, awful. But obviously they don't care about that.
What I think the way they've spun it in their own minds. It's like a girlfriend telling herself, that she's not the problem when clearly she's the toxic one,
yeah.
or vice versa with a guy, whatever. I think what it is that they've convinced themselves, they're like, look, if we get this incredibly successful publisher that's constantly going to be generating money through Call of Duty sales and from our competitor, from them being successful, so them being successful directly means that we're successful.
And that can foot the bill for
That guarantees that we don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
That we always will stay, that we will not get pushed out of this market, which is where we're going right now. But the problem with that is that Call of Duty remains. If anything happens to Call of Duty, this whole thing is for nothing. And that can happen. It's right now it's hard to see because it's a behemoth and every year people buy it and people talk about it like it's ketchup.
Yeah.
But we've seen Microsoft and their touch and how things turn to crap. And also, good things have to come to an end eventually. How long has Call of Duty been fighting? There's bound to be a brand new game in the future.
Yeah.
Not saying PlayStation will do it, but they're working on first-person shooters. Someone's going to come up with the next game. I mean, Fortnite nearly overtook it. Well, Fortnite probably took a large chunk out of their thing. And it was forced that Call of Duty had to adapt and make a battle royale of its own.
Yeah. I'll say this.
Something could come along and take it away.
There is a possible reality in which making Call of Duty exclusive kills kills Activision or kills Call of Duty, because you're talking about 100 million plus units not purchasing it, and there aren't anywhere near enough Xboxes, and a lot of PC guys. Also, there are a bunch of other games that are as popular or similarly popular on PC.
Yeah.
And not enough PlayStation gamers who are PC gamers to... Do you know what I mean? There just isn't that overlap.
Yeah.
That could just... And then I suspect, I get the feeling that people have had enough Call of Duty that if they try and take it away from us for a year or two and then go...
We're sorry.
We got to bring it back.
We're sorry.
People
we'll
go,
back to you.
well, Warzone 4, whatever one's out, is enough for me. I'm not going to buy the next one.
Yeah.
Or, well, when you did that, I went to Apex Legends 2 or Counter-Strike or whatever it is, Valorant or whatever, Fortnite, and I just got no desire to come back. So, like, that's a real thing that could happen,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want that to happen. I think I'm kind of a fan of having although we don't play it, I'm a fan of it being a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, it's a double-edged sword. It's high risk because you are talking about the majority.
Yeah.
They're cutting them out. And put it this way, if they touch COD, they're going to ruin it.
This is the big worry. So there are people who are... So there's two things I'm going to mention, right? One thing, people are very delusional, and they think that now that Activision is in Microsoft's hands, that Microsoft are going to take all those guys that... Because every studio they have seems to be working on Call of Duty, because it's the big money maker.
Yeah.
And they're going to take them all off and they're going to make them work on these old IPs that, obviously, a handful of people love.
Yeah. Like Elder Scrolls or something. Yeah.
Whatever, Activision Blizzard one there is, there's Singularity and there's all these other really obscure ones. They're going to take them all off of Call of Duty and they're all going to work on these projects over here. One, why would you mess with the formula that you've got right there?
Never going to happen.
That seems like it's asking for the Call of Duty machine to break down, and that's the moneymaker. Second of all, Microsoft aren't the ones to be making good games. So, and these studios aren't the same ones they were from 10 years ago.
No.
The ones that made these games before. So it's all pointless. I think you're very delusional. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does happen, maybe you'll get one or two of those ones because they'll be like, let's feed that into Game Pass or something like that. The other thing,
why would you ever do that?
Stupid idea. Absolutely stupid.
You're way better off having all of those devs fix bugs, work on the next DLC, work on the next update, whatever it is.
Even the Blizzard part of Activision Blizzard isn't the same Blizzard we remember.
No.
Overwatch 2 came out, dead. Can't even...
DOA.
I haven't even heard of it.
No.
Overwatch 1, the shit. Everyone was playing that.
Yeah.
But it's because Blizzard is no longer what we remember Blizzard to be, that Overwatch 2 is just dead.
I'm just curious. Concurrent
The other thing I was going to mention, when this ended, pretty much the day after, 2 days after, Phil Spencer announced that they have signed a 10-year exclusivity deal, a 10-year deal to bring Call of Duty to PlayStation, guaranteed with all parity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that does mean that there is going to be no exclusive, no ripping Call of Duty off of PlayStation for the next 10 years at least.
Well, because they need to sort their shit out for 10 years, yeah.
It's going to take them 10 years to do anything anyway. And also, they want the money, obviously. Who doesn't want the money that's going to come out of that? But that's something. So, the people are... we're talking as like, the gaming industry, how it's going to affect gaming, how it's going to affect PlayStation, how it's going to affect everybody. There are Xbox out there that are like... And I joined in on them just to make them feel like an idiot. I was every Call of Duty is exclusive to Xbox, guys. Yes, we took it from PlayStation. Yes. When in reality, for the next 10 years, it's going to be on PlayStation. There's not going to be any sort of difference right there. And even that we found out in the trial
it's coming to Game Pass day and date, right?
That's the thing. Even we found in the trial that it's not going to be coming to Game Pass to at least 2025. So for the next two CODs are still going to be buy them for $70. Even though Microsoft owns them, you can't get them on Game Pass. It's... You haven't won anything, okay? This isn't a big thing for you. You're not a gamer, unfortunately. You're looking to just collect Pokemon cards almost at this point. This is really bad. Anyway, that's the big information there. I've got the similar sort of feeling with you. I do feel like that this is only going to it's not unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately in the sense that someone who isn't trying, someone who isn't doing a good job is going to stay here.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this means that Microsoft isn't going to go anywhere. I think they've got the security now, at least for the next 4 years. Because they can't ruin COD in 4 years. Surely.
You are smoking something. Because CODs are a 2-yearly thing, right? So the second one comes out. They start work on the next one, which leapfrogs, or maybe 3 years, because I know it's Sledgehammer's involved, right? So 3 years. They are absolutely can. They are 100% can. You know that they can. Look at them. All they have to do is reshuffle the teams that are in the correct space.
My hope
that just work well.
My hope is at least for 2 years
they say don't touch it.
They just don't touch it. They just stay back.
Yeah.
At least for 2 years they do that, and then I think for the next 4 years they're secured.
They can't freaking help.
Maybe not, but at least if they do that, then they've bought themselves 4 years with tons of revenue coming in, and that's good. That's what I think is unfortunately the reality of this. Now, when I say unfortunately again, I don't want Microsoft to go out of business or Xbox to go out of business. I don't want that.
But just not this way.
It's just unfortunate that the person who's doing the worst is still here.
Yeah.
I want them to battle and do the best. They're not doing that.
Yeah, they refuse to work on their own product, so they tried to take another product away. Now, on the potential silver lining, there's no way Sony sees everything that came out and went, oh, they'll never take that away from 100 million plus people.
If they do?
Of course they would. They're happy to make terrible decisions. They're trying to hurt Sony. I mean, it's very clear that there's a level of maliciousness here. This isn't just, hey, we think it'd be good for us and our gamers. They're actively being malicious. Hopefully, what we'll see is Sony, who know how to make good games, go, okay, we've got 10 years, reasonably, to bring up the shooter base. We have Bungie.
We need something. Continue your thought and I'll say what I was going to say.
No, go for it.
Well, I was going to say, I thought about this quite deeply the other day. So, like, PlayStation are on a roll, right? With, like, single-player games. And we saw how much it costs to make single-player games. Like, $200 million, something like that.
It's not cheap at this level. To make a God of War...
Exactly.
Not cheap.
And the money they make back, probably about $500 million, right? So like 500 million, 600 million, something like that, right?
In the first year, yeah.
Right.
6 months to a year.
This is only working for them because they keep making bangers after bangers after bangers. If they make a misstep and they lose that 200 million, they don't recoup that loss. Hurt. That's a huge loss. This is the reason why so many companies are going for like live service games, because if you flop on a live service game, it's a loss. But if you try to make the next one and try to make the next one, if you just bang on one of those things, you make 10 billion in the year.
Yeah.
And that recoups all of the losses that you've made. That's why it's so everyone was trying to make live service games. So that's why like Call of Duty is so lucrative and such a good buy. And that's what PlayStation's risk is at the moment. They just need to slip up, and that's a massive loss on your P&L. That's why they're trying to make so many like live service ones, because if they can just get one, then they lose. They're entirely not reliant on Call of Duty anymore.
One average live service game that stays alive for
Right.
2+ years makes you a lot of money.
And even then, it's not like you can't sort of take that formula and see if you can try and adapt it to another one, although there are limited number of people.
This is what I was going to say. Like, well, they have by far the most successful live service game of all time in this realm, I would say. In this realm, which is Destiny 2, right? We're not talking about the Battle Royale stuff, right? Although technically it is live service. This is what we mean when we say a live service game. So, Destiny's the best of the lot of them that aren't like Battle Royales. So you got Bungie doing that. There are some shooter IPs that, quote unquote, Sony own, like Killzone, hopefully we see a few iterations of them testing stuff, trying stuff, coming out with a couple of, their old shooter here or there, and maybe, hopefully they come up with a winner, or at least not a lot of losers, because Xbox is going to take COD away, and I'm not a COD guy. I don't care anymore.
It will happen eventually.
Yeah, I just what I care about is the hypocrisy and taking, when we all play, we all win. Oh, by the way, we're going to take all this stuff away from you. So look, Sony, you got 10 years. Now, in the meantime, they could well run COD into the ground, and I suspect they likely will. If they're smart, one of the Microsoft execs will say, "Okay, we'll do this thing. You don't touch it. Don't touch them. Don't touch a goddamn thing. It runs on its own." And if that's the case, then okay, you really do have to worry, because COD's gonna keep doing its own thing. Activision Blizzard's gonna keep doing its own thing, and doing whatever it does. Making decent decisions, obviously.
Yeah.
And then in 10 years, you're getting something taken away from you. But you got 10 years.
Yeah.
So, like, freaking hurry up in it. You got to get started working on that stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the good thing about Sony is they're faster paced. What I mean is that, like, when they get feedback, they seem to, like, really switch on it. And they haven't had to recently because they just stuck to what kept working.
Yeah.
But when it didn't work, they stopped.
They realised it, though. They realised it far enough in advance. They weren't like a late reacting, like you said. They're very fast-paced. And crucially, they're the ones, unfortunately, only ones out of Microsoft and Sony that actually make something. So
Yeah.
Okay. I want to challenge us both.
Okay.
What is one positive that could come out from this whole merger? What positive could possibly happen if a bunch of things go into the right place? What do you think?
Activision Blizzard sets the standard for management, and Microsoft sacks all of its Xbox managers and gets better managers in place, and they start making good games.
That was the
That's
biggest
totally
thing,
doable,
right?
yeah.
That the management of Microsoft, their Xbox anyway, is
Obviously
the worst.
It's obviously atrocious.
So maybe Activision fucking does something for them.
Yeah, maybe finally one of the execs goes, "Why are these guys just putting out banger after banger, and like all these other things that we acquired to do that aren't? What's different? Let's change that." Because I don't want it to go this way. I think Monopoly, and it looks like they're going for a monopoly, which is bad. But having great games come out is great. And if there were great games coming out from Bethesda and Rare and all that stuff, I'd buy an Xbox. Well, I have a PC, but you know what I mean. Like I wouldn't be opposed to buying an Xbox. Like maybe Activision Blizzard kickstarts the whole, like, actually maybe we should be innovating. Maybe the fact that one of the reasons the Xbox didn't do so well compared to the PlayStation as a console is we haven't innovated in 3 generations. We just made a more powerful version. The controller hasn't changed in 4 generations, other than like 10% sizing or something, right? And new molds. But like maybe we should innovate. Maybe we should just do that stuff. Maybe it kicks off that spark. Like, actually we can do this. We've got everything now. There's no reason we should be buying up a million other studios. We've got plenty to do with what we've got, right? There's more than enough here. So silver lining, potentially that happens. That would be great. There's tons of IPs. Banjo-Kazooie would be a great one, right? But like they got tons. It looks like terrible management, and rather than worrying about making your own good game, what they seem to be focused on is trying to hurt Sony or just whining that Sony's doing it better. Well, what they should be doing is focusing on their own product and making the best shit they can do. Hopefully, Activision Blizzard kickstarts that top level decision making.
Yeah, I hope that that's what happens, and I hope they sort of beat out that stupid mentality that Phil Spencer had about like, if we started making great games, people wouldn't sell their PlayStation 5s to buy Xboxes.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, you're right, Phil, but that's the wrong question to ask.
Exactly.
Would people sell their PlayStations to buy an Xbox? That's not the right question. Would people buy Xboxes and buy our games is the correct question, and the answer could be yes.
just that statement there, unfortunately, as much as people who are like Xbox fans love Phil Spencer, just that statement there should be enough for you to say, you're not the right person for the job.
Right.
You're not the right person for the job because, A, you should be saying, we want to make great games.
Right.
Regardless. Doesn't matter.
That goes without saying.
You're a games company.
That's so insane that it literally goes without saying. It's like, it's the most obvious.
Right? And then second of all, it's not about getting people to sell their Xbox, PlayStations. It's about selling your own content. That right there should have been the thing where like,
Yeah.
Phil, it's been a good run. I'm checking out. Sorry, my friend.
Like, this is what, like, there's no, he's the wrong guy for the job because his very first point is talking about Sony.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, he's worried about you selling your PlayStation. What he should be worried about is we want to make games that you just can't not play. Mm. If that's what Microsoft's or Xbox's whole focus was on, you'd have good games.
Yeah.
You know, if he said, I don't care how many, I mean, great for Sony, good for them. I don't care how many Xboxes we sell. What I care about is that everybody there has more than enough options to play the best stuff they've ever played anywhere. I want to bring you new IPs. I want to rekindle old IPs. I want to add to the catalogue of current IPs. So we're going to bring you a Gears of War 7, but we're also going to bring you a what's another word for Gears? A ratio of wars, right? Like we're going to bring you a prequel. We're going to bring you something new. We're going to bring you something you haven't seen before from the same universe. We're going to continue the linear progression. We're going to add new IPs. Old IP, like that's what we're focused on, and hopefully people buy Xboxes to play that, or they'll jump on Game Pass to play that, or they'll just buy the game. But we're going to bring you the best freaking games, and that's all we're going to do. We're going to continually improve. You know, oh, what about like The Last of Us, rumored Last of Us 2? Well, actually, The Last of Us is a fantastic series of games. We've learned a lot of lessons from looking at how popular those games are, and it looks like, you know, Sony's recipe is really good. Frankly, we're going to try and compete with that.
It's crazy how they hired people to do the research into what makes that game fantastic, and they went, "This game is amazing." Anyway,
here's the thing. Here's what I don't get. Right,
we won't do anything with that information. We'll move on.
It's like he went, "Oh well, McDonald's is already a thing, so there's no point in fast food restaurants.
No one's going to go anywhere else but
we're
McDonald's.
We're going to start a painting company, right?" But you could be... Do you think you'd be losing money if you were Burger King or Chick-fil-A or Subway? Like...
Or even just a burger joint, you know? Like, there's plenty of burger joints out there.
Like, that's my point. So
crazy.
Like, he's the wrong guy for the job. The right guy for the job comes in and says, look, we've got some incredible stuff. We've bought up a lot of studios recently. They've got a back catalogue with large fan base and some cool ideas. We can test some of this stuff on some of those things that are low risk to us as well, like Banjo-Kazooie as an example, right? We haven't made a family game like that in a while. Now, those sorts of games like Ratchet & Clank does really well. The Nintendo stuff does really well. We can rekindle this. It's got some cachet with the fans. People know it. And if we mess it up, we can learn some important lessons that don't really hurt us. Let's try that. Let's put a team on that. Let's see if we can learn some lessons. Let's copy the homework of the other guys that are doing it, and let's really try and do this. And we'll see. And also, we'll see what the numbers come out.
Just sit there and do nothing.
You know, it's freaking ridiculous. By the way, we need some new ideas. Let's get some writers in. Doesn't have to be a zombie apocalypse, but I want something to compete with The Last of Us. Doesn't have to be Indiana Jones, although we're doing Indiana Jones, but I want something to compete with Uncharted. Doesn't have to be a samurai game, but I want something to compete with Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Could be knights, could be cowboys, something to compete with Red Dead. Like, let's compete. It doesn't have to be obvious. This doesn't have to be like Red versus Blue. It doesn't have to be Tekken versus Mortal Kombat, or Street Fighter, but, let's compete here. Let's see if we can't do this. And I bet we can learn some lessons that maybe, the first game.
It's really funny because that defeatist statement sounds like they were trying all this time.
Oh, yeah, obviously not.
You weren't trying. How can you say that?
No, I'm sure they spent a lot of money. And I'm sure they paid some people some big salaries. But they weren't trying.
No,
they might have been there, but they weren't trying. It's like the guy who to make his paycheck only has to finish in the same race as Usain Bolt. He doesn't have to beat Usain Bolt. He doesn't have to come first. He just has to finish in the same race. So he just phones it in and jogs the whole way.
I wonder what's going to happen if Starfield comes out. It's genuinely amazing.
God, I hope
like
I want it
sells
to be.
copies and stuff like that.
God.
Then it completely counteracts his argument. And it's like...
That would be amazing if people were like, you know what, it's the cheapest way to play Starfield, because I don't have a gaming PC, is to buy an Xbox. I'm going to buy the Series X because I want the best one and they're readily available.
And they see an influx and we see it through MPD numbers and stuff like that.
That would be amazing.
So Phil, your stupid comment...
That would genuinely be brilliant, and I would hope it would be so good that Phil would be like, look how good I did, and Xbox would be like, no, you said this couldn't happen. We don't think you're the guy for this. And they get rid of him, get someone who actually wants to make good stuff.
This is very 2023. There's no internal checking of your own community, of your own thing. There's just, we can't say anything bad about you because that's the way, otherwise we'll look bad. Yeah. So we're going to just move on. My thing about the positives of what come out from this merger is pretty much exactly what you were saying. It was stability was going to be. Okay. So I think it's probably been weighing on them how they are just failing at every corner.
You'd hope.
Hope. I think it is inside. I think that's partly why they're doing so bad. Like if you're trying, failing, it probably weighs on you, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? So I think that's what's happening a lot in the inside, and I think now they have this stability. Now they have this this money generating machine on one side that they don't have to do anything about. They just need to keep going. I think it's going to give them some well-earned calm and bought calmness and just a bit of like rest. Okay, we can just right now. Let's really think about this. Let's go forward in here, perhaps.
No, we thought that would happen once they bought Bethesda though, or ZeniMax, or whatever it was, right? So. Because that also...
I thought it was a bit different then. I thought what was going to happen was that Bethesda was still going to be pretty much like Bethesda, like Arcane Studios was going to be like Arcane Studios and make a fantastic game. Turns out their next one was a complete flop. I mean, who could have predicted that from a good company that previously good? I guess that, at least if it was like Bethesda Game Studios, where like they made Fallout 4, which was... not really a very good one, but
kind of a miss.
And Fallout 76, which was just universally hated. It's like, cool, those were two bad ones. You can predict that the next one maybe could be a bad one. Yeah. But Arcane Studios, they were great. And then they just pulled out some shit. So that's tough on them. But with this one, at least there's the financial stability. There's no reason why tomorrow COD will disappear.
True.
I'm predicting that gives them that stability that just like... chill out for a second, guys. We got this. All right. What do we need to do? Then they do something else.
I want you to be right. But my counter idea to this, and I'm not trying to make this reality by speaking it into the existence, but because Microsoft is the parent company, they've got stability. I mean, the fact that Phil still has a job after making nothing but losses and atrocious losses, and this isn't you and me talking here. Like we know it. Now, like this is a fact. That's pretty stable. I don't see how owning Activision Blizzard helps stability here. I mean, I've got Mike's put it this way: the company that is buying it relatively easily and absorbing it.
That's a good point, actually. The dad of the company, Microsoft, is stable as fuck. They make tons of money.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is gonna. This is still noticeable
I want
money.
you to be right. I
but
want you to be right. Yeah.
is it gonna change anything? Anyway, that was my possible positive that come from this.
Fingers crossed.
Possible negative that comes from this. Like, what's your worst case scenario?
I got a lot. It's a monopoly. It's a monopoly.
That they just continue to keep buying and whatnot, and makes it worse.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing:
Consolidation all over.
You and me go, man, that is a lot of money to spend. But if you think about it, they just spent the best part of $80 billion. They spent $7 billion on Cinemax and stuff, right? And then didn't stop for a second. It took them less than a year to start. A year, is that right?
Yeah.
2 years.
I think it was a year.
Yeah, to just boom, go 10 times bigger. Who's to say they aren't like, oh, by the way, Square Enix or Square, sorry. They make Final Fantasy. They've got a big relationship with Sony. Well, we want Square now. Let's just get Square. What's $7 billion more into 80? It's almost nothing.
That one would be extremely hostile, because right now, I mean, maybe it'd be warranted because basically all the deals that they're doing with PlayStation, it's pretty much they're making games exclusively for PlayStation, and that'll be extremely hostile because they'll be like, we're taking that all away from you.
The other side of that, as
Hey,
well,
that's business.
Square does other stuff as well, obviously, but it has this strong relationship with Sony. What sort of needs to happen is Sony needs to protect itself and buy up things like Square. But then you have a problem. Now, Sony obviously are better.
And it just
at managing
feeds into
stuff.
this whole situation.
And then you end up with just two. You only have Burger King and McDonald's. That's it. The other sort of downside is that if Sony gets into a bidding war or a buying war, it's going to lose.
Yeah.
Sony doesn't have anywhere near that kind of money.
Because they're a
Maybe
successful
that's what
company.
they're trying to do. Maybe Xbox, or maybe Microsoft's gone, we can lead Sony around by the nose. We're just going to get them to keep buying stuff till they have no more money.
Possibly. I mean, they did, but because PlayStation and Sony is a big enough brand, they can leverage that to get like loans and things like that.
Yeah,
So
of course.
people out there that are like, oh, they can't buy Take-Two, for example, to get Rockstar.
They probably could.
They can. They just will have to like
What's Take-Two
get
worth?
loans and whatnot. A lot. I mean, they make for that. But regardless, they can do it. It's just that they won't be able to do that for every company out there. And eventually, it's like, okay, we've bought all of this stuff. Is it all worth it?
Well, the other thing is they don't have to buy Take-Two. They could just buy Rockstar. They could make Take-Two an offer. Now they're probably going to say no, it has to be a hell of a deal, but but that is a thing that could be
The most
done.
valuable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a thing that could be done. So my point is that's probably the worst case, in my opinion, is that they lead Sony into a buying war, which there are two outcomes to that. One, Sony tries to buy stuff and eventually runs out of money and can't develop stuff, which could be the Microsoft long-term play. Mm-hmm. Or we end up with just two. Your options are like, ketchup or mayonnaise or whatever you want to say, like two equivalents, or McDonald's or Burger King. That's all you get. And it's quite nice having some variety. And it's also quite nice having other studios out there that can make bangers, like GTA and Red Dead.
That's the thing. These things definitely wouldn't happen under like if they were owned by PlayStation or if they were owned by Xbox, because it's a resource management thing. If like Xbox, if they've got Halo, their biggest name, their biggest brand, would they invest money in something else? Maybe not. PlayStation do the same thing. That's why like pretty much everything's become The Last of Us, Horizon, and God of War. Like, why we was like, what happened to Days Gone 2? Why wouldn't you go for Days Gone 2? Because they don't want to take that risk. Yeah. What happens to I'm struggling to think of another thing. Oh, The Order 1886 2. They don't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
And they could see that as a risk and maybe it doesn't happen. Whereas another company who's only got that on their file, that's their biggest thing, they'll invest in it, go big, go hard, and then you get this amazing game.
Yeah.
Is that everything you want to say for your
I think that's... I had a point, but it sort of disappeared.
I think your point was pretty much that it was like it's going to end up in a bidding war and it's going to lead Sony by the nose. And it's just going to end up to more
I definitely had another thing to sort of add to it, but it's totally gone.
If it comes back, let me know. My potential negative to this is that they somehow ruin Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And it becomes so unpopular that people just migrate away from it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that both hurts Microsoft and Sony.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because I think it's something like $3 billion PlayStation makes from Call of Duty every single year without even doing anything.
Yeah, just from like...
Just their 30% cut.
Yeah.
And that money goes into making the great PlayStation titles that you see today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the future ones that are coming.
Yep.
Without that revenue, what happens to PlayStation?
See,
and they're the ones producing the good games.
There's two ways to take COD away from PlayStation. One, you make it exclusive. Two, you drive it into the ground. Either way, they don't get that revenue.
And it's not just bad there. Then it means we lose one of the great FPSs that are out there.
If you're craving an FPS and you don't know what to get, or like you don't fancy a battle royale, or you don't like Apex or Fortnite, there's always COD to fall back on.
Yeah.
And it's rarely going to be a bad choice to go to COD. It might not be the best choice. It might not be the best game, the perfect game for what you're looking for, but it's rarely going to be a bad idea, right? If that's what you're going for. So yeah, no, I'm used to having COD. Do you know what I mean? I'm used to it. It's a staple. It's part of. I might not play it anymore, but I expect it to be there. Do you know what I mean?
That's my worst case scenario.
Yeah. COD to me is now
just
Brussels sprouts at Christmas. And they got to be on the table. I'm not touching it, but they got to be there. I expect them to be there. You know.
It's just the fact that it's simply all these people that enjoy it. That's all good for you.
Yeah.
And what it affords the rest of us as well is a fantastic benefit. We get all these other opportunities, all this investment into other things that would not have come to fruition had it not been for the people that do buy COD.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that gets disrupted, then I'm so scared for what's gonna happen in the future. It's a potential game industry disruptor just waiting to happen.
Yeah. A bit.
And it's so risky. I mean, granted, the same risk could happen without Xbox buying the thing. There's always the chance that Activision tomorrow mess up their own formula.
Yeah.
But
they have an incentive not to because it's their own paycheck.
But that's like saying anything could happen anytime, anywhere.
True.
Without any sort of influence, something could happen.
True.
However, we're saying with this unknown influence going into it, something bad could happen.
I mean, like, not the worst case, but a bad case.
Yeah.
Is that level of mediocrity just infects the entirety of it, and CODs don't get bad, they just get not good. And it's like, well, what else are you going to play? If you're the FPS guys, like, well, what else are you going to play? It's good enough that you play it, but not good enough that you have fun, or like as much fun as it used to be. And yeah, I'll tell you as well, we didn't get. It's not that we got old, because I'm enjoying Apex.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still enjoying first-person shooters. It's not that we got old. The CODs that we ended up having, we weren't having fun. They weren't fun for us for whatever reason it was, right? It's not like I'm a monster on Apex. I'll do okay. Like, there are bad versions or versions like we got used to away and it changed to a new formula and we didn't like the formula. It wasn't us. The formula wasn't good for what we were looking for. And I do worry that it would just infect them with mediocrity. That's definitely a problem. That's definitely a problem, a concern. There are many concerns. I don't see very many upsides, and I think the likelihood that our best case scenarios happen super thin. I would not want to be standing on that ice. I wouldn't want to bet on that ice thin.
Give me 1 second. I'm just grab my water from over there because I'm dying over here.
Cool.
Bad throat. I was sick for a couple of days, and this is killing me. Okay, I wanted to put our positives and negatives out there just to see what would go on and get our impressions on it. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. Let's kick it over to our Discord server.
Yeah, buddy.
Where some of you guys have written in. Cryptic writes in. I asked people for their positives and negatives as well. And Cryptic writes in. He says positives: Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass. Don't know. I mean, I guess that's a positive if you're on Game Pass because then you don't have to pay the big price tag for it. Bobby Kotick probably losing his job. He's going to get hundreds of millions of pounds. So
yeah, it's good
on that, I guess. Yeah,
it's sort of a golden parachute. It's not.
I said in the beginning that people who are like, oh, but Microsoft could buy them, so then Bobby Kotick gets fired, and it's like he's going to get a stupid amount of money and then live the rest of his life on an island.
Yeah,
that's not good. That doesn't. Did you think that's a win? The best way would be to just starve them out of business. But anyway, but then loads of other people lose their jobs, which is obviously a bad thing as well.
Yeah.
And then he says his negatives: potential exclusivity of Activision Blizzard games. However, in general, I don't think it will hurt the industry that much. We made a couple of good points. Maybe it'll change your mind. I don't know. All that much. And I don't really think this is a big of a deal as everyone's making it out to be. Honestly, in the long term, this will limit Microsoft acquiring other studios so much that it could actually end up benefiting the industry a bit. I actually think this doesn't stop them.
No, I totally disagree.
I don't 100% know if there's a legal thing going on. Based on what I've heard, it doesn't stop them legally from buying anything else.
No.
Each one is sort of like an individual case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
I guess they have to as well look at how many you've purchased in the past. But
now if you say... If they say, well, it hurts the industry, you say, well, we bought an even bigger one and that didn't hurt the industry. Like, we had that case, so how can buying a smaller one hurt the industry? And if they do that enough times, they end up with the whole industry and it's a monopoly, right? But if you make if you have a couple of judges that are autistically focused on exact wording of things, or whose sons work at Microsoft, you get basically to a monopoly. And as long as nobody complains about a monopoly, people only have problems with a monopoly when somebody else can benefit from getting rid of it.
yeah.
And they have do you know what I mean? Like, there are plenty of monopolies still out there if you think about it. So I don't agree. I don't see them stopping here if, one, we actually don't know what the plan is, and my conspiracy theories about, like, oh, they're trying to hurt Sony and stuff, looked like I read the internal emails, didn't it? If you go back,
they said, yeah, like we have the opportunity to spend Sony out of business. They said so. He does have a good reasoning though after this, like a general, like a thought here, where it's like, especially as it was such a struggle to get them to acquire Activision Blizzard through the FTC. They will be really strict on Microsoft now, still unpredictable though, but in general not that important, and is getting kind of boring. I just want it to be over now, no matter what happens with it. I'm right there with that one.
I'm also with you on the. It is getting boring. I'm just sort of sick of it.
End it now,
right? I will say, though, the FTC, if they aren't able to bring the same, not the same case, but like the same arguments, right? Which is that if the argument is buying this up is negative to the thing and you're buying even more things, that's negative to the industry. If they can't bring you can't keep buying things because it's negative to the industry argument, how are they going to...
This is an interesting thing, actually, because in law, there's a thing where you can refer to past cases for things.
Yeah.
So if something has been let through based on certain grounds, then in the future it has to be done as well, because why was that done and this isn't over here? So that's why like these calls aren't always like 100% correct. Sometimes they're thinking about the future and what precedents they can set. So if they had said, for this, for example, this is wrong, then it would stop all the future ones, because they would just say, refer back to this case.
Yeah.
Look, they were buying a company, we're basing it on the same reasons, blah, 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 and it will happen again. In the future, can things be undone?
Yeah, 100%.
So that's the thing. If it happens in the future,
precedents,
maybe it's even harder to let things go through in the future, because then they have to go back.
What they can do is say, look, in that case, that answer was correct, but this is a different case.
They'll have to get down to it and actually give a reason for that, though.
Right, yeah. They'll have to prove why it's different, or why that two things can be true at the same time, right? Like a giant buying up the majority of a thing is bad, but a small company acquiring another small company isn't horrible. You know that game, was it Snake.io, where you go around, you eat all the star things and your snake gets bigger, and if you run into another snake, you explode? Yeah. It's like that. If you're a little snake and you eat another little snake, that's not bad. But that same action, if you're big enough and you eat everybody, that's bad, even though it's snake eat snake. You have to then prove that, would be my guess. My definitive legal opinion. Forgot where we were for a second. But yeah, you can change things or establish a difference, but then you have to establish that difference, and then the judge can say, actually, it's not the same, and or that isn't a reasonable difference. Get stuffed. They've already done this thing, or reasonably say, mate, they've got a freaking monopoly at this point. Monopolies are illegal. You can't let them do it. It's a monopoly by every definition. Look at it, right? Also, it's so boring. I don't want to do another one of these.
Yeah.
Like, Your Honor, this is really boring. Conversations don't want to talk about this anymore.
And that's what Remake the Gateway says next. He says, Microsoft Activision, honestly, I don't really care anymore about this acquisition. Just let Microsoft own them. COD hasn't been great in years, and the only other games they have been published, are remakes. It was also just announced that COD will be staying on PlayStation, so it's not like Sony will be losing much. At the end of the day, that's where we are, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing as well. It's like we are where we are, no matter what. So, like, you know, and yeah, we are where we are. I'm sick of it. Also, we should have known better. There was like government bodies involved, and we were impressed to begin with because they were asking the right questions, and we were like, oh look, for once, someone's at least asking the right question. We should have known. We should have known.
Tricked. We were tricked.
These are the same Brers that couldn't figure out that during lockdown, when no one was on the roads, was the time to fix the roads. Those Brers are doing this because they did that in the States as well. Those Brers couldn't figure this out. Why did we think they would figure it out? Why did we think that we're stupid for thinking, oh, the government will get something right. A government will get something right. Name me one that's done one thing correct. Name me one. You can't.
Exactly.
Giuseppe says...
I missed out the important comment from... actually, wait, to be fair, it's separate from this. I forgive you.
Yeah, it's not the correct... Yeah, we're separating people.
My bro apologies.
The merge will be another long-term project. I think by the time we see some real change, will be 5 years later. Unfortunately, because of all these mergers and acquisitions, the PS5 and Xbox Series... Huh?
And I'll be dead.
Yeah. Your man flu is, you know... I'm surprised you made it this far.
I'm soldiering on.
Unfortunately, because of all these mergers and acquisitions, the PS5 and Xbox Series seem like a buffer console and new games come out slowly. Hopefully I'm wrong and we'll get more new games in the upcoming years and not just remasters and remakes. I'm a little bit worried that all that's coming, or the majority of what's coming, is just remasters and remakes. That is a problem. Like, there are new ideas to be made into games, but even if they follow the same recipe... I know what you're saying about the buffer year, although, like I said, it's very easy to feel that way, and then you look back and you realise what's come out, and we've had some at least on the PlayStation, we've had some absolute bangers. Let's say PlayStation / cross-platform. I don't think there's been anything particularly notable on the Xbox, but if you were PC, third-party type game, or Sony, tons of great games. Monster Man said the merger is rather boring. It's rather boring speak, and I go to bed.
See ya.
Honk snoo. I think that's him snoring. As long as old COD games can be cheaper and or on Game Pass, I'm fine with that. Well, aren't you optimistic? Oh, well, he means the old games on Game Pass. Yeah. The old CODs on Game Pass. Sure, but are there multiplayer games on Game Pass?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Arguably, those are the games that they need on there because they'll keep people in the subscription.
Yeah.
So.
Benny's finished Max Payne, so we're doing merger news. One second.
BS Bro 2.
BS Bro 2 said, 5 more people get to play COD on other cloud services no one's heard of. Game Pass dudes get COD for free.
I desperately want to know what's going to happen with those services because you know at the time when it was like they announced Nintendo's going to get COD and was like,
no one cares.
Are there many COD players on Nintendo? There's never been a
Literally
COD there before, so like who cares?
You ever seen footage of people playing COD
on the Wii?
Oh,
that was the worst.
That was horrendous.
And then they started announcing it's like Nibrinsky tiny 200-man cloud streaming service that has 5 customers as get COD exclusive for the next 5 years, 10 years. And it's like, and then there was another random company. We're like, why are you going to these random companies, you idiots?
Yeah, so how desperate are you for money? Microsoft gets money and buys up more publishers to get exclusive games. Sony end up buying more studios and paying up more publishers for exclusive games. And paying studios to not put more games going to Game Pass. Xbox does the same for PS Plus. I mean, I'm confused.
I'm confused as well.
I think what he's saying is
Sony will end up buying more studios.
They'll either buy more studios or they'll buy exclusive deals so the games don't go to Xbox and vice versa for Xbox with third parties, although I expect Xbox to be buying third parties, not doing deals with them, so they can ruin those games as well. Here's another point I was going to say about Xbox, which is that and he mentions it, so I'll say his point first. Netflix sees how easy it is for studios and publishers to join, and joins making and buying exclusives through streaming services trying to compete. The reason Netflix was so cool was because everything was like you had to buy a million different packages to get stuff, and Netflix was like, here's everything all in one place. It's so cool, and everything's here, and it's so convenient. And then everybody was like, look at the money coming from Netflix. We'll do our own service. You get Disney Plus, Hulu Plus, or whatever, freaking Paramount, all of it, right? And now, same problem that we had before. Everything's in all these different places. You're paying all this money to get all this different content, right? Same sort of deal here with Xbox is in the issue. It's just sort of going in reverse. Is that we want the variety, and you're making it all grey. You know, you're just buying everything up, and we can't do anything about it. Yeah. And they are right, which is, well, where else are you going to go? You know. So, and it's the best form of entertainment until they make enough bad games and people go, you know, we don't like games anymore. Yeah. It is I do think this stuff is seasonal, just longer term.
It's like anime. Like, anime is stupid and no one likes it anymore. So no one wants to have
never
it.
did.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Now no one's interested in it.
But like, I think there was a point where it probably moves a bit quicker for shows, but like Game of Thrones brought up all this amazing TV, and movies sort of not died off, but they're harder to make.
It was
money
all
on.
about TV shows at one point,
right? And now I think there've been enough bad endings,
and like with Disney Plus, with the amount of bad MCU shows,
they just churn them out, and now people are like, "No, I want movies now."
Yeah,
and I hope that sort of thing does happen in gaming, where people like, you know, they went to, it was all COD, all first-person shooters, and they were like, okay, now it's all battle royale, and hopefully it'll go to something else, and that will be enough, or maybe just away from gaming for a bit. Maybe people go, you know what, I'm done with gaming for a bit.
That'd be silly.
Yeah, or like back, you know, primary entertainment source is going to be long-running shows or something, right?
Yeah.
And then back to gaming, and hopefully it's enough for them to go, okay, we can't just churn out crap.
Yeah, hopefully.
Tailgate says, I don't care about the Activision merger anymore. I just want the saga to end, and at this point, I can see it getting approved. Yeah, I think it's getting approved. I don't really have anything positive or negative to say about it. I think the major summary is everybody's freaking bored of it. Mikey T said, glad the merger is finally done. Hopefully all the stupidity surrounding it on both sides of the aisle will dry up now. On a positive note, hopefully Activision gets cleaned up, Kotick fucks off, and employees have a better work environment, no longer have to deal with the things they had in the past. Also, from a game preservation point, hopefully they carry on with what they've started to with the older COD games, getting them safe to play and serves. Yeah, dude, there's so many hackers, or there were so many hackers on the old COD games.
I heard recently they fixed some server stuff for Black Ops, and I saw a massive surge in players for Black Ops. Obviously, it's temporary because it's an old game and whatnot, but I saw that and I was like,
I could see us
old Black Ops.
I could see us jumping back on Black Ops and like jamming only the Olympia.
Yeah.
Negatives. I think this will lead to more big mergers and publishers being bought. I think it's slippery slope that long term will be a bad thing for us gamers, and hopefully with the big Game Pass push, the games don't suffer. Hopefully with the big Game Pass, games. I'd be very happy to look back in a few years and think what an idiot I was thinking this was all going to go tits up. But no, I sort of agree with you. It doesn't fill me with confidence.
It's logical, unfortunately. I'd like to be in the same position as you. I'd like to think what an idiot I am. But unfortunately,
that's the best case.
But unfortunately, I'm so smart. It's a burden. It's a burden I carry.
It's true. Or like I've said, for a long time, I do think Starfield's going to flop, and it's not because it was track record in it. Bethesda hasn't put out anything good in a while. And the last good thing, which was Fallout 4, was it was okay. And then 76 was horrendous. And then there's the Xbox management decision. So like, but I'd love to be wrong about that. Man, do I want to be wrong about it. I'm all about sci-fi. Xbox needs a win desperately. Yeah. Hopefully, dude, I want to be so wrong that people look back and go, man, first of all, best sci-fi game ever made. How could anyone have thought anything different? And by the way, what a pivotal game to have happen. It changed the course of Xbox, who started making those incredible. I want that to be the case. I'm so desperate for that to be true. However, I still think it's gonna flop. I'm not actually that God, I want to be wrong.
Who knows? All right. Well, that brings the Activision Blizzard conversation to a close. I don't imagine we'll hear anything else for a while. One day we'll hear
Don't
that
see
it's
what
finally been
could,
like
yeah.
finalized and ... and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't think we might just bring it up as like, okay, so it's actually done now.
Finally closed. This was the actual
See you later.
finishing price, etc.
Because we've covered everything we could possibly cover, all the outcomes
We've
we
hammered
think
this
possibly,
home, man. Yeah.
and it's exhausting. So
It really is. The big takeaway here is we've been right the entire time. Everything we said about Xbox was completely spot on. Has been so far. Looks like it will be in the future too, and that's really sad because I want a good Xbox, but we don't have a good Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our second to last topic, unfortunately, again with Xbox. So
Yay.
there we go. So, first of all, you know how PlayStation Plus was super confusing, this new tier system they came out, and we was like,
And not good, and a bit shitty.
it was like, I can see some benefits there. This looks stupid, but most of all, it was too confusing.
It was very confusing.
And that was only 3 tiers.
Yeah. Oh god.
But we were like,
No.
Xbox Live Gold will be going away in September.
Are they going to go back to silver, gold,
No.
bronze, gold, silver?
They're converting everyone who is on Xbox Live Gold
Yeah.
to Game Pass members
Right.
with a new tier called Game Pass Core. So, with Game Pass Core, it'll be the exact same price. Everyone will still keep on going. It'll still be it's either £10 a month or $10 a month or $60 for the whole year.
Yeah.
So same price. You still get online multiplayer. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
You, instead of getting a game every single month like we do with PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold that no one cares about,
Yeah.
you're going to get a catalog of 25 games. No idea whether or not that will change over being a catalog of 25 games. They say high quality games, but what's high quality to you, Phil?
Shade.
And you get like occasional discounts, like members discounts, like PlayStation Plus discount. You get stuff like that, and that's that. One, I have to say, very clever way of pumping up your Game Pass numbers, because now these are Game Pass users now. So it's like we have
No one's gonna fall for it.
120 Game Pass users this year. We're up from 20 million last year.
People will fall for that for the first month, right? For the first month, they'll do it and stock prices will jump. And then people are going to realise, hold on a minute.
What they're doing here is what they'll do is they'll stop reporting on different categories. They'll be like Game Pass.
Yeah. The reason...
The same
like
way they
Xbox
did
sales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have sold Xbox consoles.
Yeah.
That's what they'll say. That's what they're saying now. It's just another way to obscure their numbers. That's what's going on right here. We will from this point never hear how many core, like the actual Game Pass users are. The one from the $10.99 upwards. The one for the Game
They'll
Pass
never
service.
differentiate. They'll say we're using this many.
You don't get day one game sales with this one. You don't get it. It's just games with gold.
It's also
Xbox Live Gold, but changed the Game Pass name on there now.
It's also really sneaky because there is an incentive if you're already paying $60 to, and you're like sniffing at all this extra stuff that you could get that you'll never actually use, and the difference is like $80 for the year. Like, maybe I should just do 80 and then I get Game Pass. It's a lot of stuff, and then it's one of those things that's so little and minor of a difference. Like Netflix's real model is the people that forgot that they're still subscribed. That's where they really make money, because they don't have to pay for like the server usage and streaming and stuff. That costs money. So that's what they're trying to do, is your Xbox Gold or whatever it is now, like Game Pass Core, is that close to getting some of the benefits of having Game Pass. So do you know what, I might as well.
That's what they're trying to pitch it here as well. So I've sent you don't look too far ahead and comment on the stuff that's ahead, because we've got stuff to talk about there. But I've sent you a thing on Discord. Game Pass Core is $9.99 per month. Game Pass Console, which is the one with all the day one games and stuff like that, is $1 more a month. Now, if you're buying Xbox Live Gold, you're not paying this price. You're paying the $60 for the entire year, whereas this is $140 for the whole year. So there's a big difference in terms of the whole year price.
See, here's the thing as well, right? They go $1 difference. Online multiplayer.
Oh, hold on. That's a part of the next thing that I'm going to talk about.
I'm not looking at the last ones. I'm just looking at these first two.
You're talking about what you get versus like we're going
Yeah,
up and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like. So that's another part of the
Okay,
story here. But that's the difference in there. But but that's what they're trying to do. But they're trying to trick you with the price there. Now, here's where things get super thing, and you can take off your hat now.
Cool.
This is where things get super confusing.
Well, hold on a minute.
So, with Game Pass Core, you get online multiplayer, that small catalog of games, not day one sales. And then
How is this fair?
in Game Pass, in console, the next version, which is the Game Pass you know right now that's being advertised everywhere for Xbox, you get all of the hundreds of high quality games, they say, day one Xbox first party games and discounts, but no online multiplayer, so you lose functionality by going
I
up.
presume that stays there. It doesn't.
It goes up and you lose functionality, but you gain other stuff.
There's no way.
With PC, it's $1 cheaper than the console version. You get all of the same benefits, plus you get the EA Play membership as well, which gives you discounts and you get to play games early and stuff like that over there. And then there's the final one, which is Game Pass Ultimate, which is essentially a combination of core and console. So you get the online multiplayer, you get all of the day one games, you get all of the high quality console games, you get the EA Play membership, you get everything like that.
So your options are either, like if you play multiplayers, core or ultimate.
Yes.
That's because my comment was going to be, for $1, look how they advertise it, right? You get online catalog of 25 and some member deals. For $1 a month, you get hundreds of high quality games on console, new games day one, and right.
See, that sounds great.
As well as the stuff, but then you're like, well, I did so. I assumed
confusing.
it was that. This is stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
It's so confusing because some things are there, some things aren't. It goes up and down in terms of functionality. The price increases as it goes up, but then it drops for the PC players. PC players get more than console players. It's so freaking weird.
That's really annoying to me. And again, like our whole thing about digital sales is there's no reason if let's say Horizon Zero Dawn. Zero Dawn. It's on PC and on PlayStation. If I buy it digitally on PlayStation, it's still more money than if I buy it on PC. That's bullshit. There's no reason for that. There's no, unless, look, maybe we're wrong. Maybe there is a good reason. Maybe it is more expensive to have it on, for some reason, to download it on console. Maybe that is more expensive. Maybe. I think it's bullshit. And unless someone comes out and goes, actually, it is more difficult, it is more expensive, or whatever, that download is a totally different thing, which I don't think it is.
It should be more cheap, especially a first-party game, because like they don't have to pay any licensing fees themselves. There's no cut that's been taken from this. Whereas when you're selling it on Steam, there's a cut going off over
also,
there.
You have to port it.
Exactly.
It's expensive.
It's just because that you can't charge high prices for PC players.
PC players just
they
won't.
will
They'll go
just
back
pirate it.
to PC. Yeah, they'll pirate it or go back to CS:GO.
Exactly. That's the only that they have this unfair stranglehold on the publishers.
Yeah, which is, and if you don't sell it to me cheap, I'm going to steal it from you.
Unfortunately, it just means that gaming is suffering because that money's not going into the next title or whatever. Anyway, this is super confusing and just a way to trick people into hiding their numbers, their Game Pass numbers.
Wait, you're telling me Xbox would be dishonest and disingenuous? No, I don't believe it, Ed.
We didn't
what
just have a whole trial just proving that, right? Anyway.
I mean, look, at this point, can any of you, and genuine, I'm honestly asking, are any of you surprised that Xbox might do something potentially shady? Like, we've seriously called it for so long. I'm not trying to hammer it home because I know a bunch of you are stuck on Xbox as you're like, and I do mean stuck because there's nothing really outstanding to play only on Xbox, and that's what you've got. But just because you know that's what you're on doesn't mean you support the thing. Right, and you have to do certain things to game because you can't get a hold of a PS5 right now. Question for you, just genuinely out of the, let's say you got a Series S for Christmas and you're like 14 again, but you got a bit of pocket money from like birthdays and stuff, and of course you get all your incredible gaming opinions from True Gamer. Do you sell or save up for a PS4 Pro instead of being on Xbox?
PS4 Pro instead of a Series S.
Yeah, you're
so
on
the current
Series S. You were
S.
given a Series S for Christmas last year.
See,
we're 6 months in. You're 14.
Oh, do I sell my PS4 Pro that I have?
Do you? So here's your
scenario. I understand the whole question. Yeah.
It's now, but you're like 14. You got some money in your bank, piggy bank, you were given a Series S, that's what you're on.
Right.
Do you save up for a PS4 Pro because you can't get a PS5?
Right.
To move away from Xbox, or potentially even sell your Series S to get a PS4 Pro? Or do you say, do you know what, that's not enough of a jump?
Here's the thing. Do I, like you said, it's now. Do I have the gaming opinions I have now?
You're subscribed to Conbrosations, so you have
Great gaming
great
opinions.
gaming opinions.
See, that's the thing. If I have great gaming opinions now, then
It's a PS4 Pro.
it's just going to be based on that I won't be able to play any good games and that I'll be out of every single conversation. People will be talking about Spider-Man. People will be talking about The Last of Us. People will be talking about God of War. People will be talking about Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Forbidden West. And I'm going to be over here. Oh, Redfall. Great. Fucking hell, that sucked. Okay, I paid next to nothing for it. Okay. I if I have the same opinions I have now, I try to save up as much as possible.
A 1TB PS4 Pro, brand new, is £197.
Yeah, I think it's worth like selling to get into that. But I mean, if you're saying that I can't afford a PlayStation 5, so that's not an option. But
Or can't even get a hold of one.
I was gonna say that's where I'd be working towards. Yeah. That's where I'd be working towards. Or start looking for a Nintendo. Even I'm sure like a Nintendo Switch can be get for a bit more affordable price. But the question wasn't that though. The question was, would I go for a PS4 Pro? I think PS4 Pro is worth it because
a Switch genuinely, and this isn't like shade. Do think you can have a lot more fun on a Switch than you can have on
at least they're producing really good titles. That's the main thing. If I have my gaming opinions now, then I know that they produce good games. I know PlayStation produces good games. I know that's the one thing that Xbox is lacking. And what's the point of a gaming console if I can't play good games?
Yeah.
Just to say that I've got Game Pass. I've got a Game Pass tattoo, guys. It doesn't bring anybody any joy. It doesn't bring me any joy.
Yeah.
I don't care if Phil Spencer wants to pat me on the head afterwards. I don't care.
Oh, you have a Series X though now. Just out of curiosity, how's that
everything.
Still no freaking games.
I have a super powerful console, but just nothing to play on it.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing as well. It's like if maybe at that point it's worth sticking on it because you could play like COD, Warzone, or whatever. But I'm really trying to find a reason for. If let's pretend you're looking at one you can get a hold of any of the consoles. Yeah. I don't see any good reason. Let's pretend they're all the same price as well. Yeah. And it's expensive.
The reason why I asked do I have my current gaming knowledge was because if I was a 14-year-old child and
you're about FPS.
Exactly. I don't give a fuck. Maybe I will get Game Pass to just try out some other little things and whatnot. Because there will be something on there that's half decent. No problem there. And like I'll be playing Call of Duty all the time. Or whatever, Fortnite or something, and that'd be fine.
So if you were like a kid you again, you'd probably just stick to the Series S. Yeah. It's it just sucks that there's no good stuff on Xbox. It's just it's disappointing, and I'm bored of ragging on Xbox as well. Man, I want to sing their praises. I want to have some good games. I want to have a reason to buy an Xbox, and I can't find one. I've been looking. I'm in my heart of hearts, I'm still a fanboy. I've got multiple 360s. Like I've got some of my fun gaming stories are having to wrap a towel around a 360 and it actually fixes the red ring of death, which is the most ridiculous thing, but it's so stupid. Also, I don't know how that was found out, but
yeah, it's one of those crazy things that how did that even come about?
Also, do you know why it fixed it? Because it got so hot that it melted solder. There was a specific joint that was susceptible to this, and the reason it failed was that solder pulled away. Yeah, and that's how you fixed it. How bad of a console do you have? How much heat is that thing kicking out that melts
That's
solder?
what I was gonna say. How hot does it need to get? Because I mean, we use blowtorches to solder pipes together.
Yeah.
How hot did that console get?
And also, how did the rest of it survive? It's almost a testament to the rest of its, like...
Everything else is built like a fucking tank.
Yeah.
This one thing is...
They were heavy. The 360 was not a light console. Actually, none of those old Xboxes were light.
I wasn't on the 360 when I was younger, but I remember the 360 being a sexy-ass console.
I was about to say it's a very pretty...
And all the limited edition versions, I was like, oh...
I would honestly say the 360 is still one of the best looking consoles. I think
PS3 wasn't good looking.
PS3 is ugly as hell. PS4 is nice.
It's endearing. Like even the fat PS3 that I've got.
It's endearing because when I look at that logo, I still see Spider-Man.
Yeah, the way that they just like slap on the Spider-Man text on there.
Yeah, I see Spider-Man. Like, but the 360 is sexy. Yeah. And I think you could put in a beauty contest. The 360 has a fair shot of winning, even today. It's a MILF. Yeah.
Let's kick it over to Tailgate, who asked a question here. He says, "Here is a question: What is the best worst game you guys have experienced?" I didn't play it, but I watched the Let's Play. But my answer is Final Fantasy Origin: Strangers of Paradise. Well, it's a weeb game. Why would you even bother with that?
Yeah, good point. Good point. Weeb game.
It basically serves as the origin for the main villain for Final Fantasy 1, and it's insane and not good in any way. The story is batshit crazy. The protagonist is only character trait is that he wants to kill Chaos and play Limp Bizkit on his iPhone. What? This sounds mad. It's like, hey, what do the kids listen to nowadays? Limp Bizkit? There you go. Let's go do that. I'm not kidding. That actually happens early on in the game. That's mad. I need to see a video of this. Send me a video of this, please. I need to see it. Near the end, the creator whose Let's Play I watched, an excellent streamer named Maximilian Dude, just lost it and lowered the difficulty down to easy because he wanted to see what BS the story would throw at him. Also, he played on the PC version, which crashed a lot, so that made the experience even more unhinged. That sounds awful.
Take the lead, or do you need some time to think?
My worst gaming experience.
But he said worst fun game, like the best worst game you've ever played.
No, he just said. Oh, is it? Okay, yeah.
Hold on, let me read it.
He did say, what is the best, worst game you guys have experienced? So what's the...
Yeah. So, like, for example, I would... in movie terms, right? Pacific Rim is the best, worst movie I've ever seen.
I don't know if that falls in the same... I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But I think you're taking it a bit too literally.
Princess Bride. I think the best... I think he's asking...
Or maybe he's... I took it as he's asking, what is the number one worst? But he did say best, so I
feel like he's saying, what's the game that you just... It was so bad, but you just enjoyed it. I've got an answer for that question, which is Taifu on the... Taifu, I think it was on the PlayStation 1. Do you know this game?
Yeah, you've mentioned it. I haven't played it, though.
Yeah. So it was back in the days of, horrendous graphics. And you played, and this is I'm calling back, 20 years here. You're like a kung fu fighting tiger dude. You think King from Mortal Kombat, except you're all tiger.
Right.
This thing, you know what we say back in the day, just game shipped and they just worked. It didn't work. It didn't work.
This wasn't one of those ones.
It didn't work. It didn't work. I remember punching enemies and your hand goes through them but no damage happens. It doesn't register it. Stuff like that. Falling through the map. There was a point where you would hop on, I want to say there were lily pads to get across something, and you'd get eaten by alligators, let's say, if you fell in the water, and solidly 3 of those lily pads weren't solid, but they were supposed to be. They were difficult to get to, and then if you got there, they weren't there. Not good. I really liked that game. Not good at all.
The only game that I could think that's like that, I played this all the way through, but it wasn't a good game. It was Die Hard Trilogy.
Right.
For the PS1. It was fixed point of view, almost top down,
yeah.
sort of like Diablo-esque, but from behind, and everywhere you turn and whatnot. And it was just a blurry shooting with a game set in kind of sort of same color scheme as the Nakatomi Tower from the movie, and then every now and again you just chuck some lines in from the movie ho ho ho, now I got a machine gun and stuff like that, and it was just nuts. Okay, I don't know how I stuck it through that game, but I guess it was I was playing games just to play games at the time.
Yeah.
I haven't got anything as insane as what you're saying over here. I feel like...
let me...
I'm trying to think if there's anything.
I'm just going to quickly YouTube Taifu glitches. Let's see if
I'll tell you a weird game that I played. It was a game for the PlayStation 2, and it used the iToy camera, and it was called window washing or something like that, or wash your windows. And you would wash, like you'd use your hand in front of the camera to wash windows, and it would like show you behind a window, and you'd clean it. It was fun up until I discovered the hack where basically, if you imagine like it shows a picture of you sitting in your bedroom.
yeah.
And you have to go to this top corner and you have to go to that top corner and clean all over the windows. Essentially what I ended up doing was just going up to the camera like this, just going. So I'd take up all of the space of the camera and it would see motion. It'd be like, oh yeah, you've cleaned the windows. And then I'd basically hack the whole thing, just like cheat my way through every single level. And then it wasn't fun.
Talking of hacks, so you know I bang on about how good Final Fantasy 9 is.
Yeah.
There is a boss, one of the harder bosses in the game, the Lifer tree, I think is. Basically, it's a giant zombie tree. You can one-shot it.
How?
So, because it's undead, healing type spells hurt it.
I see.
And the natural progression, the very first thing you try is fire, but then it will catch fire, and while it's burning, it's getting hurt. But it does extra damage to you because it's on fire.
Ah, I see.
Now it's a zombie, and the second you realise that healing spells hurt it, you try some of your more powerful things, like revive.
Oh shit!
Or Phoenix Down, which brings back a dead or unconscious player.
It does the opposite.
Just one-shots it.
Oh damn!
And I think that's been patched into, like if you buy anything online now, I think that's been patched. But I have the original discs, and you can one-shot this boss, and it's quite an engaging fight because it's tough and it's got some cool shit to steal. So what ended up happening, because I've played this game many times, and it is an annoying fight, is you steal. I think it's got two good things. You just have Zidane steal, right, got it, Phoenix Down, and leave.
I was gonna say that seems. It seems like it's almost logical. Like
the rest
they were
of the game is incredible. No. It's broken. It's not supposed to. It's not
okay.
Like the logic follows, and that should be a very powerful attack against it. But there should be a limit on it because it's just.
It was clearly an equation they put in. They were like plus damage will be minus damage, and then it was just the opposite. What was true as well.
It does full thing. Cool. Delete.
Oh, they were like, oh shit, we fucked up.
Whoopsie doodles. Well, because the thing is, that's a reasonable thing, especially at that point, to get through a QA test. Why would anybody cast revive or use a Phoenix Down on an enemy boss? You would never do that.
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, the game's outstanding.
Misunderstood how autistic the Final Fantasy fan base is.
Also, I quickly Googled Taifu. And I don't see that many. I googled Taifu glitches, and I can't see too many of them. I do want to say, personal thing, I loved the game. I really enjoyed it. A lot of it didn't work, as I remember. And I don't. That's not slander. And hopefully I'm wrong, and I'm just an idiot, and I'm remembering all of my glitches. But I can't seem to find any. I wanted to show you some good ones, but anyway.
Monster Man wrote it, and he says, on better news, I finished Max Payne 3 recently, and man, it has aged so well. The effects are beautiful of Max's cracked mental state, and while they're can give some headaches, hope more games. And while they can give some more headaches, hope more games, or especially psychological horror games, utilize this effect in a less jarring but more impactful way. What's your opinion on Remedy's entertainment in general, their sophisticated and staggering Northlight engine? Will you be playing Alan Wake 2? And the answer is hells yeah.
Absolutely not.
Shep says, I'm like, it's a bit more horror than Control. I'm out. Sorry.
It is. Do you know what's weird as well? Is I mentioned this on Twitter recently, and Wames lit me up. Not like negatively, but he was like, "This is definitely a you issue." I was like, "What happened to the Dead Space remake?" Because I don't remember hearing about it. Like, has it?
It mistakenly passed you by.
Yeah.
Because when I remember it happening, and people were like, "Oh my god, this is great!"
Yeah.
It's one of the things that people are like saying, like, has EA learnt their lesson? Because they were talking about how single player games are dead, and now they're like, coming back.
That's really good to hear because, again, it somehow managed to miss me. And I love those games and I hate horror. It's a real pity they only made 2.
That's a pity. It's a pity.
But no, I'm not going to be playing Alan Wake because it's too creepy.
I am gonna play it. However, as it's coming out at the worst time, like this, it's coming out in 2023. That's the worst time ever. I hope I can squeeze in Alan Wake remake as well. That's really optimistic though, because life isn't great when it comes to your plans.
I watched Alpha play a bunch of the Alan Wake. I say a bunch. I watched him play until it got creepy and then was like, nah, I'm out. I'll see you later.
Like,
I've always got to go right around where it starts to get a bit creepy.
Right around this bit.
Yeah,
Sorry about all the coughs, by the way. It's really...
Everybody knows you're recovering from man flu, which is the deadliest of all known diseases, especially in the last few years.
Exactly.
I don't think there's another illness that... Not one springs to mind. So, yeah, they'll have to deal.
But I do like Remedy Entertainment. I feel like
Remedy makes good stuff.
They're quite unique, and I really do like their take on stuff. Like same way I'm feeling about. Same way I'm feeling about Hellblade. I haven't played a Hellblade game, but everything I'm seeing from it, I'm like, ooh, this is totally like unique, and we need this kind of stuff in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Same way I'm feeling about Remedy. I feel like they do a very specific type of like. They've got that eerie sort of like horror vibe to it, and they can apply that to other things like Control, and I think they're very good. I think they're very, very cool. And
Quantum Break's Remedy, I didn't know that. I mean, I played the OG Max Payne. Okay.
Quantum Break was another one that I was pissed that we was on the PlayStation side because it looked so fantastic. I don't know if it actually was fantastic.
It looked good though.
It looked good, and it had the guy who plays Iceman in X-Men.
Yep. Yeah.
That guy.
That guy.
And I was like, oh, great. That'd be a good one. And it looked like a good premise. I don't know if it turned out to be good.
Again, Remedy makes good stuff, and this is my... They don't own Remedy, do they? Xbox.
No.
This is what I'm saying. Like, do follow the freaking Sony model. Have a company that's making good stuff. Make you a lot of good stuff, and then be like, hey, do you want to come under the wing? But you make good stuff, but you just want to be us.
They're too impatient. They'd rather just skip over that middle step and just go, come in.
Yeah.
Oh, this is bad for us. Doesn't matter. Buy another one.
Yeah, we'll just ruin this.
Oh, it's bad again.
Yeah,
Anyway, I think that's pretty much everything.
Frustrate home. Let me just... What was the... Yeah, cool. All looks good. Remedy makes good stuff. Alan Wake, bit too freaky for me. And it ticks all the wrong boxes for me. Which is that it's not only quote-unquote horror, but it's also psychological stuff, and I don't like being creeped out. Like, I like Alien. I like the Alien movies because it's not really horror, right? It's more thriller, sci-fi, and oh no, there's a monster there.
And jump scares every now and again.
Yeah, the odd jump scare, exactly. But, like, I'm not a... Like, my mind's not going to play tricks that there's a freaking xenomorph in my room, right? I'm not going to... That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Same with the OG Predator movies. Like, that... It's just not... It's not
that kind of thing.
It's not horror, even though it's, like, sort of kind of in that genre. So, it's both creepy and scary, and that's just too much for me. Like, Control wasn't really horror, per se.
It was a bit eerie, but...
It was a bit eerie. I wouldn't go as far as creepy. But also, you had literal superpowers. So, like, it's offset and super cool. And the ashtray maze was fantastic. Oh my god, that was good. You kept saying, just wait till you get to the ashtray maze, and I found it. I'm like, I found it. It's shit. It just keeps going round in circles. I've tried. I tried to figure out the way through, and there's no way to figure it out. Can't be figured out. You have to get a freaking item. God damn it. But, man, that's such a good thing. But so, yeah, Control, and like Control 3, I would play. Or Control 2, is it? What would it be? Control 2?
Control 2,
I guess. Like that I would play. Alan Wake's just a bit too outside my comfort zone on too many of it. In fact, I disliked the Alan Wake DLC because it was a bit too it was much more creepy than the rest of the game had been. It was about my max tolerance. I wouldn't have wanted anything any creepy. I would have stopped playing it. but Control's really good. I mean, highly recommend Remedy games. Like, you can't go wrong, especially if it's that your sort of thing you're into. Go for it, man. They're great games. They make good stuff. We need more companies like that. This is the thing. Xbox buys up all the stuff, and then what do? We need more companies like Remedy. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just it's self-defeating, I think.
Yeah.
God, I really want gaming to be good, and also I want some time to enjoy gaming.
I would like that as well. We just need to find out how Alpha does it.
Alpha's a monster when it comes to like consuming content and right. Yeah. Consuming content, producing content on his OnlyFans.
Exactly. Everyone go subscribe. Alpha. All right. There was one other thing to talk about. We can just gloss over this quite quickly because it's just a rumor right now. Yeah. Apparently, they're going to be remaking The Last of Us Part 2 for the PlayStation 5, and I'm guessing the only reason why they're doing it is because Season 2 of The Last of Us is probably going to come out eventually, and they're getting ready for that. And they want to eventually sell it on PC as well. People were like, obviously...
Does it need it?
It doesn't need it. It looks stunning as it is on PlayStation 4.
PS5 upgrade, didn't it?
No, it didn't. It got a... I don't think
frame rate boost.
I think it got a minor boost, but I don't think it got anything substantial. Even so, it's
stunning already.
It pretty much looks like Last of Us Part 1, and that's running on a PlayStation 4. Yeah, it can be better. Everything can be made better, but how high are they really going to go? And
God, I need to play the Last of Us remake.
Even this is going to be just a remaster. It's going to be a minor boost. It wouldn't be worth the full $70. If they do $10 or like an upgrade, maybe you buy that. Maybe something.
Yeah, it should be like a Ghost of Tsushima type thing.
I was super mad about this. I was like, why are you wasting resources on that? And then it hit me. I was like, they're probably doing it to coincide with Season 2, and they're going to sell it on PC because it's not available on PC. Those are the real reasons why this exists. Okay, I'm over it.
So, final tandem question, somewhat gaming related. You get the choice. So your answer is how it's going to go. Last of Us Season 2, the show. They either jump straight to The Last of Us 2, or they continue a story that's untold in between the two games, and we pick up where we left off with Joel and Ellie at the end of Season 1. What would you do?
I think something in between. I think there's I'm mainly because I'm scared of what's going to happen with Season 2.
You don't want to see Joel go golfing.
It's not just that. It's just the reaction to that. Because Joel is great. Everyone loves Joel. And everyone loves Joel.
The voice actress for Abby got death threats.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to the actress?
The person's going to have
to... when you put that in the show, because Pedro Pascal is your big draw here for like the average audience member, and I can't think of who you'd get to play Ellie who could be in the 20s to hold the audience like that. And that's not to say that the audience doesn't like female actresses. We've proven that's not the case. It's just who you're going to get.
But they'll still say it.
Of course. But who are you going to get?
I think it might be worth exploring what happens in between. I think it might be. At least then we get like the even deeper bond between Joel and Ellie, and it can still be original. So there's less rules and restrictions. Like people had a beef with episode 3, me included. Not the fact that it wasn't good.
So much so that I haven't watched it.
Not that it wasn't good. It's just that it seemed to depart from everything. It seemed to just pull itself out. Not the story, not the gay romance. That's nothing to do with it. It's just the fact that it was like
The Last of Us is full of gay romance.
This wasn't in The Last of Us, and it wasn't a very Last of Us type thing episode.
I heard that it was it just didn't feel like it didn't fit. It didn't fit.
It was entirely separate. They were having a very happy and normal life in this,
which is frustrating because they could have set up why he owed Joel.
Yeah,
that's the big annoyance to me.
Yeah, and in the game, I mean, not that it's a huge point they touch on, so it's not so valuable that they changed it. But the other guy killed Frank. Frank hangs himself, and they're like, "What's the story behind that?"
He leaves a note specifically that he's hung himself, saying he doesn't want to turn into one of those things. And he gives him the truck or a battery or something. He's like, I owe you one, or I owed you one. Like, call it something along those lines. Like, that's a story. That's something we could have told here.
Anyway, so at least you get to be with original, and you get to do whatever you like, as so long as you make the ends meet. then I think that's cool. And as I deepen the bond for season 3, where we go into Joel dying, and
Whoa!
boom!
Spoilers!
Spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2 remaster. My apologies. That's coming out. Anyway, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think the show can't reasonably tolerate that kind of jump, because in the game we had, how long? What's the runtime of The Last of Us? 8 hours, 13 hours realistically, and man, what a deep 13 hours that was. I just feel like you got to know those characters so much better, playing them, and all the little interactions that happen along the way and stuff. I don't think one season is enough to just jump. What's this time skip? 10 years ish?
Something like that,
Yeah. To just be like, 10 years, by the way, the big reason that you're watching the show, dead.
Yeah. They would have to do season 2 maybe a little bit differently then, because the one of the things that makes the loss of Joel so painful, but then makes it so good at the end, is just seeing those constant flashbacks and to moments where like Joel was amazing, and then in the end how great it was, and that their final moments actually were really good together, where we thought that it ended badly and then he died. So
you'd have to do them, I guess, breaking up, and the moment in episode 1. That it'd have to end with Ellie screaming, right? Like, that's got to be your episode 1. It's got to be your like Game of Thrones season 1 episode.
I'm really worried that if they do that in the beginning of season 2, then it drops off really fast. One, because some people are just, they don't have a big attention span. They don't care once you kill the thing that they love, and they just walk away. A bit like, I mean, I can't think of an example, but I'm worried that might happen.
You can't show it
also,
in episode 1,
and also it might just be that like, then there is no substance for the TV show, unlike the game. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if I was making that episode, I think you see Abby swing the club, you hear a thunk, and you hear Ellie screaming, and then it cuts, and you're like, what happened? See, episode 2, you're going to have to show what happened, and then you're going to have to show Pedro's still in the show. Right, like, we're going to get a flashback at the end of episode 2 to remind you, hey, look, he's not gone from the show. He's just not in it chronologically, but he's still in the show. We're going to be flashing back a lot.
You could do that.
You know, don't forget Pedro Pascal's still very much in the show.
Guys, he's alive. Stop saying he's not going to... He's alive.
You know, when you remember somebody, they never truly love you.
True. And they say that multiple times throughout the show,
just to remind you.
Always hold on to The Last of Us, Joel... what's his last name? I've forgotten.
Miller? Joel Miller?
Miller, that's right.
How did I remember that? I can barely remember my name.
Anyway, gamers, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the True Game Podcast.
Which was fully recorded audio.
Fully recorded audio, never forgotten, never missed anything ever. Thank you
also,
guys so much.
If that audio is not in here, they're just looking at us in a totally different perspective and we haven't addressed it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we will find out soon if the audio is good, and then you'll know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for your support. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you in the next one.
See you next one.